We are going to get started with our regularly scheduled Norwalk Housing Authority meeting. And can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, agency members Perez,
Here.
Ramirez,
Here.
Valencia,
Here.
Vice Chair Ayala,
Here.
Chair Ramirez. I'm sorry. I'm so
Chair.
sorry. Chair Rios.
Here.
I'm about to get
Teresa,
confused
do we
here.
have anyone wanting to speak for oral communications?
No, nothing for the Housing Authority.
Okay. How about a director's report?
Did you want to take action on the
I'll move the
Oh,
consent
yes.
calendar.
Thank you
I'll
so
second.
much. Roll call, please.
Agency members Perez,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Valencia,
Aye.
Vice Chair Ayala,
Aye.
Chair Rios.
Aye. Okay. Director's report? Anything for this?
None tonight.
Okay, thank you. With that, we'll go ahead and adjourn this portion of our meeting, the Norwalk Housing Authority, and give us just a minute to begin our regularly scheduled city council meeting. All right, thank you all for your patience. I am now calling to order a regularly scheduled city council meeting today, November 19th, 2024. And today we have, for our invocation, Pastor Michael Gutierrez. If I can have you please come to the podium and I'll introduce you. Pastor Gutierrez has served the Norwalk community for over 7 years. He began as a youth pastor in 2017. He has worked closely with local schools, including starting a Bible club at Lakeside Middle School. In January of this year, he became the senior pastor of the church, congratulations, which furthers his involvement with the city. In addition, Pastor Gutierrez is the executive director of a local nonprofit, the Burnaby Community Center. He is passionate about helping people grow in their faith. He partners with the Norwalk Chamber, Kiwanis 605, and Pray Norwalk. In his spare time, Pastor Gutierrez enjoys watching sports, trying local food spots, hopefully in Norwalk, right? Okay, good. And spending time around family and loved ones. In fact, he is celebrating a personal milestone as a 6-month newlywed. Congratulations, Pastor, whenever you're ready.
Would you pray with me? Dear God, we thank you, Lord. God, we thank you for tonight. We thank you for this city council, God. We know that each person on this council has been put there by you, God. And so I pray that you would give them your strength, your encouragement, your motivation as they fulfill these large roles, God. We're thankful for them. In the season of Thanksgiving, we understand how big of a role it is to represent our community, our city, God. And so I thank you for each of these council members, for their willingness to stand up for our city and make wise decisions for our city. I pray that you would give them wisdom tonight, that you would give them understanding tonight as they seek to make decisions for the betterment of our city and our community. I pray that you would bless them with wisdom and discernment to make the best decisions for our city. I thank you, God, for what is already being done in the city of Norwalk, how you are providing such blessing to this community with the businesses and the public safety and the churches and the first responders, God, and the council. I thank you in the season of Thanksgiving for how you have already blessed this amazing city, God. And yet we ask you, God, would you continue to bless this council? Would you continue to bless this city? Would you continue to bless all the goings on in this city, God? And would you be able to do a remarkable work, a continued remarkable work in this city as this council trusts you with decision making, God. I thank you for tonight, and I pray that you would bless this evening with wise and careful and faithful decisions made by this council. We thank you for them, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. And if I can have my colleagues join me here to present the certificate. Come on forward, Pastor Michael Gutierrez. Welcome again. On behalf of the City of Norwalk, thank you for leading us in the invocation today on this very special meeting. All of our meetings are very special. Thank you for praying over the City of Norwalk, for praying over all of us in our leadership and all the families and our youth and first responders in our community. We appreciate your prayers. Thank you so much. Let's give him a round of applause. Okay, next we have our flag salute. Today we have the privilege of having with us young Marine Private Abigail Gutierrez. If you can please come to the podium and let me introduce you to all that are here. Young Marine Private Gutierrez is a 12th grader at Norwalk High School. She is an active member of the Young Marines program and the high school's cross-country team. She joined the Young Marines to develop new skills, which reflects her dedication to personal growth and community service. Young Marine Private Gutierrez enjoys expressing her creativity through painting, drawing, and crafting. In her free time, she loves watching both classic and modern movies. Her favorite part about Norwalk is its tight-knit community with the events that bring people together like holiday traditions. We are grateful to have you here today, Young Marine Private, and whenever you're ready to lead us in the flag salute.
Thank you. Please stand and remove your hats or covers. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, come on over, Young Marine Private Abigail. On behalf of myself and the entire City Council, we want to thank you for leading us in the flag salute today during this very special meeting. They're all special meetings, as I said earlier. But thank you for your leadership in our community. Wish you all the best at Norwalk High, and I hope that you make your senior year the absolute best, the most fun, safe, all around just great. And thank you for joining us today. I want to present you with this certificate. And I'm also going to give you this very special medal. Abigail, do you have family members that you'd like to join us? Come on up to be Okay, let's continue with our roll call, please.
Councilmembers Perez,
Here.
Ramirez,
Here.
Valencia,
Here.
Vice Mayor Ayala,
Here.
Mayor Rios.
Here. Closed session report.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Members of the City Council, the record should reflect that this evening the City Council convened for closed session with the two items that are listed on the agenda, that prior to recessing into closed session, those items were announced in public session. That the City Council, all five members being present, heard these two items in closed session. There was no final action taken on either of those matters, and there is nothing required to be reported at this time. Madam Mayor, that concludes my report from closed session. It's appropriate to continue with the open portion of the meeting.
Thank you so much. We'll continue with our city council comments, beginning with Councilmember Rick Ramirez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have no comments this evening, but I'd like to close tonight's meeting in memory of a long-term Norwalk resident, if I may give a little bit of background. This is on behalf of the Ramirez family. Gilbert Ramirez was born December 1st, 1952, and passed on 9/22/2004. Although Gilbert Ramirez was born in East Los Angeles on December 1st, 1952, he had strong roots in the community of Norwalk. Moving to Norwalk as a young boy, this is where he spent most of his life. From Hopland, his family settled on 162nd Street, his final residence where he had returned to care for his mother. He attended local schools, including Centennial Intermediate and Excelsior High School, where he was in the ROTC program. As a teenager, Gil was a member of the pioneering Casual Gents Club, which aimed to unite youth through positive activities, including community carnivals and some of the first Arturo Sanchez parades. Gilbert served in the United States Marine Corps during the Vietnam War. He was a skilled carpenter and retired as a finished carpenter at the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. He married his longtime sweetheart, Patty Ramirez, also a Norwalk resident. Together with Patty, he raised 5 children, 3 of whom he delivered himself. 2 were even featured in the local Norwalk newspaper. He was an avid handball player, and that's probably where you would recognize him. He would come to the city council and discuss about the handball projects at the Hermosillo Park. He was an avid handball player and played a vital role in advocating for the design and construction of the handball courts in Norwalk, including at the sports complex. Known for his generosity, Gil often went out of his way to support the hungry and homeless, organizing numerous Thanksgiving and Christmas food giveaways, funded solely by himself. Gilbert's legacy endures through his strong roots in Norwalk, including his 94-year-old mother, who still resides in the city. He and his 10 grandchildren, all of whom pursuing higher education. 2 of Gil's sons, Gilbert J. Ramirez and Andrew Ramirez, worked for the Norwalk Social Services, briefly under Director Mr. Tak Hamabata. So on behalf of the city of Norwalk, we like to close in memory of Gilbert Ramirez. Is any of the Ramirez family here this evening? Can you please stand and be recognized? Okay. I want to extend my sincere condolences to you and the family on behalf of the entire city of Norwalk. So we'll be closing in memory of Gilbert Ramirez this evening. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Council Member Jennifer Perez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I just have a few things. The first, I want to do a huge shout out to Lutech High School. Todd is really doing, the principal there is doing a huge semester in really teaching his students about local government. And they did a tour here at City Hall, went through all of our departments, met some of our key directors and individuals in our city here. I got to spend some time with them last Wednesday. And it's always great to see high school students wanting to get involved in their community and wanting to learn more of how things work in the city of Norwalk. So a huge shout out to Lutech High School. They are also chamber members, and I know it's always great to see how they want to get involved in our city. Wonderful Veterans Day celebration on the 11th. Thank you to our entire team, all of our residents and community members that came out and most especially to our veterans that were there in attendance, and to those that watched online. We were streaming it online, so if you weren't able to be here with us in person, you might be able to watch it online or even go back and see it again if you missed it. And then last week, we wrapped up Veterans Day week with a wonderful ribbon cutting where we cut the ribbon on our Veterans Village, a veterans housing project here in the city of Norwalk, one that we have been working on for many, many years. And it was absolutely wonderful to see the partnership of the city, Mercy Housing, and our entire community come together to provide a housing establishment for our veterans, of which there are some that are set aside for homeless veterans here in the city of Norwalk. It was definitely a proud moment for the city of Norwalk. There was retired generals here. We had Humvee vehicles, the flags, the pomp and circumstance. I'm going to tell you, it was absolutely amazing. Jesus and team, everybody that was involved, Levy, everybody, public services, park and recreation, every single one of our departments here in the city of Norwalk truly made last Friday something special and something that we will never forget. So congratulations to our entire city of Norwalk family. And the last thing I have a very special guest that is here with us tonight for a short moment. I want to say hello, Miss Mila Walker. She's a first grader at St. Linus School, and she is also my niece. But it's great to see her here, and she's always asking questions about the city and how things work and what we get to do and what other fun things are happening in the city of Norwalk. So it's great to be able to expose what we do here and what we call community to our students here in the city of Norwalk. So it's great to see you, Mila, and thank you for being here. And make sure tomorrow when you go back, you tell Miss Parker that you participated in the city council meeting. All right. That's it, Mayor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilmember Ana Valencia?
Thank you so much. It's been a roller coaster of a couple of weeks, let me tell you. But I wanted to report back on the Seroptimist pancake breakfast. Very successful, very nice. I saw the mayor there and lots of our friends that were there. I don't remember how much was raised, but more than double what they expected, right? Okay, Karen? 2,000 something with the 55th, with the other raffles and everything. And then some of us bought like 5 jars of the cornbread mix. But it was a really nice event, and I look forward to many more of the Seroptimists and Norwalk Lions and all of our service organizations that do so much for our city. And it was great to participate. Then, after that, many of us were at Target, right there at Patterson Square. I want to please urge everyone to be careful with your wallets, with your purses, and whatnot. I was robbed at that Target. Somebody distracted me while another person, and we saw the footage of the Target surveillance videos. Somebody distracted me, and the lady asking me in Spanish about some light bulbs or something, and there I go, oh, sure, let me help you. Left my purse unattended on the cart. I'm usually not that person. I usually get my stuff and then I'll help. Thousands of dollars, not even 20 minutes later, thousands of dollars were being attempted to be charged on my credit cards, my flexible spending account card. I mean, all these things. It has been a nightmare. But thankfully, with the police, I want to thank our assistant deputy city manager, Ozzy Ramos. I want to thank our deputies, our sheriffs, because they came right away and took action. It's happening all over, and it's terrible when it happens to you. Luckily, I've been able to refute and everything. Thankfully, the fraud alerts and all that, but it's terrible. It's terrible that that's happening, and it's happening more and more. And from what I understand, Detective Noe, you said that Costco, just down the street, that's happening as well. So, yeah, they were charging up at Home Depot, at Sephora, thousands of dollars at Starbucks, and gift cards is what they were purchasing because I guess you can't trace them or something. It's terrible. But that's what happened, and thankfully things are a lot better now. I do want to thank Mila for coming. It's great to see you here and on all the events that we get to see you and your beautiful dresses for Easter and all these other events that we have. But I want to, in closing, want to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving and peaceful and joy and all and turkey with all the trimmings if you go that route. So thank you so much, Mayor.
You're welcome. Vice Mayor Tony Ayala?
Yeah, I just have a couple things. I would like to extend our welcome to Norwalk to Beyond Deals. They had a ribbon cutting on the 12th. Was very well done by Spilsbury and the rest of the Chambers of Commerce, and it's where the old Dollar Tree was, and they're good community people. So I really encourage you to stop in, say hello, and take a look at the stuff they have. It's at the Walgreens Center over there on Studebaker and Firestone. I also like to congratulate Bright Future Preschool on their grand opening. It's right across the street from the Social Service Center, and they have indicated that they do have slots available. Seems like a very quality program, so I would encourage you to do that. If I don't have a phone number on them specifically, but you could call our Social Service Center, who they work with, and I'm sure they'd be more than happy to facilitate. Lastly, yeah, I want to congratulate the staff, and I think I'd have the same challenge as Jennifer, trying to name every department that was involved in making that a success. But it was, thanks to all the staff that contributed. It was truly impressive. I mean, it was pretty impressive that we even got to the point where we were able to open it. Because, like Jennifer said, this is one of the first things we took a look at in 2018 when Jesus first got here, and to see it finally there is pretty remarkable. So, congratulations, Jesus. Thank you to the staff, and that's all I have there.
Thank you, Tony. Again, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our meeting today. I apologize if we got started off a little bit late, but a few things that I wanted to share with you. First, this morning we had the ribbon cutting for Raising Cane's here in the city of Norwalk. Yay! Yes, we can. Yes, yes. Let's get excited about our businesses. We're happy that we have Raising Cane's here in the city of Norwalk. They've already proven to be a good community partner. They awarded two of our local high schools with $1,000 contribution, which, as you know, our schools and our students can definitely benefit from all the help that they can get. And they have also assured the city that they will continue to help us with our community events, with our local schools. So we ask that you all support our local business, support Raising Cane's. If you haven't gone by already, please go by and pay them a visit. Also, Anna Valencia, she already mentioned our Seroptimist. That was good breakfast for a very good cause. The Seroptimist Norwalk Santa Fe Springs, if you don't know, is an organization that supports women and is for women. So it's definitely a worthy cause, and we were happy that we were able to support them. The veterans ceremony on November 11th was amazing, and it's always nice to gather amongst our veterans who have served, and we had a very nice young lady Crystal. She's Sergeant Crystal Alvarado from the Marine Corps. She's a graduate of Southeast Academy here in Norwalk. I've known her since she was like 12 years old, and so to see her achieve her goals of service to this country was very inspiring to hear her and have her there and to represent us as our keynote speaker. Also, sometimes these events, sadly remind us that we're not all here forever, and so especially when we gather among those veterans who have served in the wars many, many years ago, they move on and may they rest in peace. But one particular individual that I asked that we have a moment of silence for, and I can't remember his name right now. I just knew him as Pete, but I know hopefully Levy, we were able to. Did we record the event? Okay, good. I know his son was there, and he was very happy that we were able to acknowledge his service as well as his passing, and so he actually made the cover. I don't know if this was intentional or not. Jesus, no, huh? So it was. It's just the way things are meant to happen. Like I said, I knew Pete and his son for many years. We'd often have lunch over at the American, yes, thank you, the American Legion, right after our events, and so that's where we would catch up. And very nice man, and so I was sorry to hear of his passing, but was it worked out very well that we were able to acknowledge his service and his support his son who was there present with us. So I'd like to ask that we close this meeting in his memory. I'd also like to ask that we close in memory of Janet Rock, who passed on October 28th. She was a member of the Little Lake School Board. Her daughter, Liz, worked here for the city of Norwalk for many, many years. And so I just want to, as a community and as a city, reach out to let them know that we're thinking of them and that we closed in memory of her. And finally, well, before I wrap up, I had the opportunity to attend the California Urban Forest Council Tree Canopy Conference. And for those of you that don't know, I'm all about trying to conserve our trees and our tree canopy. And so I learned a lot. And all the information that I learned, I always bring back to our city manager and our council in an effort to adopt things that make sense, bring grants to our community, and just all around be environmentally conscious. So that is all I have for this evening. And we will continue with our special presentations. Gosh darn it. That's why I needed my latte today, okay? I told you I need my latte. Never mind, Jesus, you're not on yet. Okay, special presentations. Thank you. Okay, so City Council to proclaim November 30th as Small Business Saturday. On behalf of our City Council, I'm thrilled to recognize and support Small Business Saturday, celebrated this year on November 30th. Small Business Saturday encourages all of us to shop at our local, independently owned businesses, especially during the busiest shopping season of the year. This day is dedicated to highlighting the importance of small business to drive economic growth, create jobs, and foster a vibrant community here in Norwalk. Our small businesses truly are the backbone of our economy. They employ residents, support local services, and create a sense of pride and connection for our city. This year marks the 15th anniversary of Small Business Saturday. Let's join together to shop small and show our commitment to local businesses. I'm delighted to invite Karen and the Norwalk Chamber of Commerce, who are here today, to accept this proclamation on behalf of our small business community. Thank you to our Norwalk Business Chamber for all that you do to promote small business owners here in the city of Norwalk, to acknowledge their hard work, their contribution to the economy, and overall a community spirit. Please come forward and we'll go ahead and issue you this proclamation. Let's hear it for Small Business Saturday. Jason, oh yes, Jason is the president of Norwalk Business Chamber. All right, so go ahead, and if you would like to say something, you or Jason, before we go ahead and hand over your proclamation, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor and council members, for recognizing the importance of the small business community here in Norwalk. As you mentioned, it's the 15th year of Small Business Saturday, and our Norwalk Chamber has been doing this for 15 years. We got in the very first year, so we're very excited to support our members and our businesses. We invite you all to come by the Chamber office on Saturday, November 30th, from 9:30 to 10 to enjoy some light refreshments and then head out and shop small in the community. And tonight we have a little gift for you, but if you come by the Chamber office that day and you get there early enough, you'll get one of these shopping bags there also. So thank you again for your ongoing support.
Jason, did you want to say anything? How about introduce your team here? How about that? Come on, Jason, Mr. President.
Hello, Jason Perez, President of the Norwalk Chamber. Mr. Rose, I was getting her door. President of Norwalk Chamber, thank you all for having us here today. Shop small. Jason with Mr. Rosewood Restaurant out here in 605 in Rosecrans. You guys have an 8-man pozole menudo, come on down. Let me introduce Jose Rios, Norwalk La Mirada Unified School District President. I probably will mess up some of these. We got Irma from Irma Macias from CFGC down here on South Street, right next to the Cerritos Square. We have Miss Mila First right here. Look at her right in front of us. Junior shopper. She'll be shopping soon. She probably already shops. We don't even know. We got Miss Sue here. We got Dora Sandoval. Of course, Mr. Richard Legaspi, TNT. And we couldn't do anything without Miss Karen Spilsbury. So thank you guys. Shop Small Saturday.
Thank you, Jason, for introducing the crew there. We appreciate that. Again, we're happy to present this proclamation to the Norwalk Business Chamber for 15 solid years of recognizing Small Business Saturday. The government of Norwalk, California celebrates our small local businesses and contributions they make to our local economy. 68 cents of every dollar spent at a small business in the United States stays in the local community. And every dollar spent at a small business creates an additional 48 cents in local business activity as a result of the employees and local businesses purchasing local goods and services. So as we know, every cent, every dollar matters. National statistics show that 59% of U.S. consumers aware of Small Business Saturday shopped or dined at an independently owned retailer or restaurant on Small Business Saturday 2023. So we encourage every single one of you here, tell family and friends, Small Business Saturday, shop local, shop Norwalk. The holidays are upon us. Hopefully you guys get an early start. Whatever shopping that you do, please do it in the community that you live. And I hope you all live here in the city of Norwalk. We need your support. We need your dollars, your tax dollars. And it's for a good cause. It's for the city we all love. So thank you very much to our Norwalk Business Chamber.
Tons
What
of
do you have on the? Oh, that's the.
whole fence.
Yeah.
Okay, very nice. Our next special presentation is the City Council to proclaim November as Native American Heritage Month. We are honored to proclaim the month of November as Native American Heritage Month. This month is a time to recognize and celebrate the contributions of Native Americans and Alaska Native communities to our history, culture, and society. It is also an opportunity to honor the resilience, diversity, and traditions of Indigenous peoples, past and present. We appreciate their continued leadership in shaping our future. We are privileged to have Adriana Martinez and her family with us this evening. Their family is multi-tribal with connections to the Membrano, Chibwabi, and Standing Rock tribes. Her husband Anthony and 2 sons are enrolled members of these tribes. Her sons also attend the Norwalk Lamrada district. The Martinez family has been proud residents of Norwalk for the past 2 years. Adriana has shared how they were surprised and delighted to find a vibrant community of Native American families who lived here for over 20 years. Her hope is that one day Norwalk might host a powwow, great idea, celebrating their culture and welcoming families from across the region. Thank you, Adriana and family, for joining us tonight. It is with great pride that we present this proclamation to your family, recognizing November as Native American Heritage Month in the beautiful city of Norwalk. Welcome and thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you, thank you.
It's Membrano.
Membrano. Okay, you said.
We are from the Membrano tribe, Chimawave, and Standing Rock Lakota tribes.
Beautiful, beautiful. The month of November is designated as Native American Heritage Month, dedicated to reflect on the sacrifices, tradition, and values of Native Americans which continue to inspire and guide future generations. Native American communities have demonstrated resilience, strength, and innovation in preserving their traditions and fostering cultural awareness despite historical challenges and injustices. The recognition of Native American Heritage Month provides for individuals and communities to reflect on the shared history of the United States and Native Americans, fostering healing and understanding. The City of Norwalk honors the resilience and achievements of Native American individuals, families, and organizations, and we are very, very proud and humbled to be able to present this proclamation to your family in honor of everything beautiful that you represent. Thank you.
is the shopping queen right here.
Yes, there you go. That's what I was thinking.
So Adriana shared that she's also a local business entrepreneur, right? AM Warriors, is that what she's shared, Anna? Design? Okay, all right, wonderful. Okay, now, how about our city manager comments?
Yes, Mayor Rios and members of the City Council and our community. Tonight, we wanted to provide the City Council and our community some updates on some of the items that we have been diligently working on for our residents. And first, what I'd like to do is start with the Urban Forestry Management Plan update and Tree Master Plan. One of the highlights that you'll hear is that we're ready to bring a proposal to you in December, so that it's very close to our presentation today. So with that, Mr. Glenn Cow will present.
Thank you, Jesus. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I have the privilege to present this item to you tonight. Here we go. I got 32 slides. I'm just kidding. You wouldn't want me talking that fast, though. I'm going to give you background on both the Tree Master Plan and the Urban Forestry Management Plan. The TMP, I'll say it like that, what it does is provides and collects the inventory of the trees citywide, which are located primarily in center medians and the parkways adjacent to the sidewalk. The plan is used as a reference or guide in regards to handling trees, new trees, diseased trees, aged trees, and removals. The trees that are usually designated for replacement have been carefully selected, recommended by an arborist based on its location, the existing canopies that are with the neighborhood to set a tone, to set an aesthetic in there, and also the physical constraints, the width of the parkway, the amount of space that's available. In some areas we see, I'll use a ficus tree, not to be critical of it, but ficus tree's large canopy, a large root structure, also tends to lift sidewalk and curb gutter, so we try to avoid that going forward. The Urban Forest Management Plan is the accompaniment of the TMP data. So it provides a guide regarding trees for tree care professionals, arborists, if you will, to proactively and effectively manage and provide for a long-term benefit to the community. It also provides recommendations from the analysis of detailed inventories from the Tree Master Plan, and includes additional components such as budget, of course, implementation type schedules based on weather or other types of maybe developments or street improvement activities, policy procedures, manuals, standard specs, public education, and last but not least, monitoring and regards to existing ordinances. We also achieve from that is the annual plans. We work on how we're going to go forward to update the inventory. From that, or in addition to that, our current inventory is managed through contract services, which we have with West Coast Arborist, and at that they perform what we call grid trimming. Within the city, we have approximately 3 grids as we use to reference with them and for the inventory, and each grid is trimmed on a 3-year cycle. Coming back, to achieve the UFMP with I'm just going to refer to those 4 letters because we're looking to combine that in with the Tree Master Plan. Some of the services that will be acquired from that effort is the digital information of all the trees and the assessing of the locations where those trees can be planted or where their existing trees are planted. It'll be GIS based, so it makes it a lot simpler to manage and a more robust database for that. It provides the ability to develop tools to assist the city staff in management and identifying and meeting goals as will be presented to council going forward, so we can establish those nice canopies and those nice aesthetics in the varying neighborhoods throughout the city. as part of the deliverables, we'll get all electronic data, the reporting, et cetera, to go forward and enhance our discussions when we go forward listening and presenting to council. As an update to that effort, as Jesus said, that we contacted WCA to provide us a quote to regards to providing those services. They are very qualified in, due to the fact that they know the city's tree inventory very well. And they've been providing the tree trimming to the grid services. What they also have is they have for their database, they call it Arbor Access. They have a lot of the data there already. If we had gone out to solicit, not that we wouldn't normally do that, we like to do that in a fair competitive environment, they would come to West Coast to get the same data they already have. And you see how that might mark it up there for it. So the data is key and necessary in regards to the UFMP. The quote provided had two options in it. We're reviewing the options, and as stated, we would be bringing you next month a recommendation to award a contract for those services there. That concludes my presentation. If there's any questions on that, I'd be more than happy to address them. Thank you.
I don't have a question. I'm sure I'll have questions later, but I just have a comment. I'm really glad that we're seeing this. I mean, it is, last year I proposed and the council supported a, fourth goal, all having to do with sustainability in our environment, which I'm very grateful for. And I think this is just another piece that will help us to really, develop something important, which is, our tree canopy. I know that we hear there's some people love their trees in their neighborhood, others not so much. And so I think it's really important to understand what our inventory is, what our best practices and future trees that we'll be planting. And then also as we continue our economic development and, selection and planting of those trees as we plan for the future. So I'm super, super excited about this, Jesus. Thank you. Thank you for your support. And I look forward to hearing more. Thank you, Glenn.
You're welcome.
Great, thank you. Next, we have our pavement and street maintenance and also traffic collision updates that we'd like to present to you. We do have a master plan that we follow, and we also have an approach that I think goes well with being able to approach the actual construction of streets so that we don't have streets as someone would say tear up the entire city, but we do have systematic ways of approaching it. And so with that, we have Mr. Mario Mera and Run Chen that will present.
Good evening. This is something that we're very happy to present. First of all, good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members, city manager, and staff. The engineering department is going to talk about a couple of items of updates. We're going to talk about roadway improvements and safety updates on these particular items. Go ahead. Pavement rehabilitation, street maintenance, and traffic improvements. Now, on this particular slide, I actually had put the cover of the pavement management system that we utilize to identify the conditions of the roadway, which is the precipitating thing that we do for rolling out the master plan. So one of the things we do in this particular report, it assesses the pavement conditions of all the roadways in the city. It establishes a condition score, and with that, we're able to analyze and see what do we need to do to rehabilitate the street and get it into a condition where we just start maintaining it. Now, this plan is updated every 5 years. Every 3 years, we provide this to Caltrans for the Metro funding that we get for Measures R, Measure M. And the important part of it is, again, establishing a condition of roadway. So let me explain what that means. So on the next slide, what this is showing is it's showing a chart that shows a condition of roadway over time. The red curve you see there is the condition degradation, basically the breaking down of the pavement through time. So what's the important thing about this? When you rehabilitate a road, you want to rehabilitate it as close as possible to good condition so we can get it into a maintenance mode. So when you look at those items 1 through 8, items 1 and 2 is maintenance. Everything else is more rehabilitation. And the rehabilitation is to try to get it as close as possible to, oh, thank you, to excellent condition. So in this particular case, go ahead and click it once. We have a program that we've been working. We're on year 3 now. The first 2 years we utilized mill and overlay, which is grind and overlay for us. The lower the level you go through condition to rehabilitate, the cost is a lot higher. So you're trying to maintain the street at levels 1 and 2. So what we encountered here, we went ahead and did grind and overlay. What we're going to do for year 3 is Cape Seal. Cape Seal is something that applies to the particular streets that I'll show you in a second. Can be done a third of a cost. So we can do 3 times more rehabilitation of streets to get them into a maintenance condition. And from this point forward, we need to do some type of slurry work to maintain it, which is number 3. That's the goal. Every 5 to 7 years. That way you can maintain the road conditions at a higher to excellent, good to excellent levels. So let me show you the next couple of pictures. The particular slide that you see here and the following slide, this is the grind and overlay work we did. When they grind the pavement, they come and they grind the roadway, and they will pave it with the machines you see here. Go to the next slide. And that's a better angle. You can see the road that's been ground and the paving that comes on top. What we're doing next is we're going to do what's called Cape Seal. We're not going to grind the street at all. What happens is that the roadway is in good enough condition, the base is solid. We're going to add a seal, a layer of asphalt on top of that. Okay, so this one is a very telling slide. Excuse me. So what we have here is the 4 quadrants of the city. On the green, you have what was done in year 21, 2022. We calculated the miles of roadway paved by lane miles. The reason we do that is you have varying widths of streets. So at the 12-foot width by lanes, that's equivalent to 51 lane miles for what you see in green. And what would it be? The southeastern and southwestern quadrants. That application took place in those neighborhoods. On year 2, we went to the northeast and northwest quadrants, and we did what you see in yellow, 45 miles. Right now, for years 24, 25, we're ready to start construction here in the March timeframe. Plans are 100% designed, and we're going to do 81 miles. The 81 miles will be covered and taken place between 24, 25, and then the first half of the following fiscal year. What does that mean in terms of percentages? That's a kind of an easier way to look at it too. Of 100% of the roadway, local streets that we're addressing, 437 lane miles is what the city has. 12% of that and 10% of that was done, so 22% during the first 2 years. When we complete this next phase, we would have been 41% complete of all the roads in the city. We'll have 59% left to do. That 59%, if we proceed the way we're proceeding right now, we can probably accomplish that in the next 5 to 6 years. Okay, so that's a very important point. Let me go to the next slide. Okay, on this one, we're talking about the 105 freeway and Studebaker exit. The important thing here is for the city is that we've been able to establish an amazing relationship with Caltrans at this point, with the support of everybody here. They're not only listening and reacting, but they become partners. I literally talk to them on weekends to give you an idea. What they've done here is when you look at the left slide, that's what it used to be. On the right side, you can tell what's been added on the picture, though. I want to get a better picture next time, but you can see on the overhead signage sign placement there didn't used to be the yellow signs. So for more visibility, we added those. At the far end, we also added the yellow signage with beacon lights. Then we added the barricades in front of that. And at night, when I think it's from 10 to 4 a.m., they'll flash the red lights on every night. we haven't had any accidents at night since they established this in October. We did have an accident here a couple of weeks ago during the day. The issue here is speed, and then the visibility as you approach that particular off ramp. So what we are doing and we already talked to Caltrans this Monday. We're going to add 25 mile per hour zone advisory speed limits on the off ramp. So when whoever goes there and starts driving, they can actually see that you have to lower from 40 to 25 and help them slow down. And that's our presentation for today. Yep. Thank you.
No.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Again, something that we've been working on all year, and I'm glad to hear that the partnerships with Caltrans have improved, because I know that's something that we have really been working on very, very hard, all for the benefit of the staff, really. You know, when I reach out or when we meet with them, it's because I'm trying to make your job a little bit easier. So I'm glad to hear that feedback. Jesus?
Great. And just to add, we started with there's a pavement management index. So we started with the worst, and that's how we've been working our way so that they don't get more expensive to repair. So that's sort of the approach that we've taken. So we've done great progress. Very little had been done over the past 20 years. And so we're very proud to make some inroads, no pun intended, in paving streets. And more is coming for those residents that are here. Next, we'd like to share our parks and green space maintenance and safety and the improvements that we've added in a very short time span, I would say, and the investment of the City Council. Thank you for allowing us to be able to set aside the money to be able to make these investments ultimately for the community to enjoy and provide safe parks. So with that, we have Mr. Alan Perdomo.
Thank you, Jesus. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I'll be providing a quick overview on how we're keeping our parks safer and greener. So always have issues with this clicker. There we go. So I do believe there's 5 major components that we have to do to keep our parks safer and cleaner. If you can look at the slide, there's public safety, there's a lighting component, there's programs, there's maintenance, and there's staffing. And I do believe when those 5 elements are in perfect synergy, you get exactly what you see in the middle of that PowerPoint, which you get a young girl smiling and enjoying our parks. So when those 5 things come together, we get that consistently. So when it comes to public safety, some of the things we've done over the last couple of 2 years, we completed installing 74 surveillance cameras throughout our park system. And those are cameras that are deployed in our public safety dispatch. They monitor them, they look at them, and we've been able to really address a lot of critical issues because of these cameras. Number 2, I think about 1.5 years ago, my Department of Education, Park Services, and Public Safety, we established a monthly check-in call every Monday where we talk about what happened the previous weekend and we forecast how we can better collaborate for the upcoming weekend. So that's been really instrumental in sort of kind of aligning our efforts. The last one, which I'm really excited to, and this is something that's been on the making for the last 2 years, about a month ago, we finally got our PSOs, public safety officers, back at the Norwalk Arts and Sports Complex to provide adequate safety on our weekend reservations. We love the security company that we had, but they're not going to be as good as our PSOs. So we're excited to have them back over there. The next component is lighting. So as the council knows, just about a month ago, we flipped the switch on those new LEDs at Holyfield. So besides enhancing the ability to play sports, what it also does, it does enhance the ability to provide better lighting through our parks. So with the addition of 5 new fields that are coming soon, that's going to provide over 5,407 hours of additional programming after sunset in 5 new fields. So that's a lot of ability for sports programming, rentals, adult leagues, you name it. We're getting ready for that additional programming. And then lastly, as we work with public services, we work with our engineering division, as we look at different parks, lighting is on the top of that list. So we're looking at lighting systems that can enhance our parks, not just from the playability of sports, but also enhancing the safety of our community. The next component is staff. So when it comes to staff, my vision is I want our staff to be community builders and neighborhood relationship builders as well. So how do we achieve that? So my goal is that in the 2025, part of the early 2025 year, I will be presenting a Park Ambassador program to the City Council. And that program, similar to the Quadrant Officer program that our Deputy City Manager presented a couple months ago, it's kind of made under that same premise to be able to allocate, to basically identify a park staff as the ambassador for each park. So that way, when the community lives around that park, they have issues, they go to that particular staff. Currently, our motto is we have one supervisor that manages all 12 parks. And we realize that system of centralization just isn't working, so we have to do a decentralized system. So I do believe that once we launch this Park Ambassador program, we'll be able to then have ambassadors from the community around that program adapt the park, and basically under the if you see something, say something kind of philosophy, and together with the neighbors around each park, we can provide better, safe parks for our community. So I hope to present that to the council shortly next year. The next thing we're working on is the critical relocation of park staff to park offices. So I do believe currently the majority of, actually probably 99% of my staff work at a Norwalk Arts and Sports Complex. So we do believe if we relocate our staff to offices, we can be those community builders that I just referenced. So that's something we're excited about. And now with the technology that we've launched over the last couple of months, it allows us to do so. And the last thing is we're developing a customer service program that will guide the delivery of our recreational programs to all of our program participants throughout our park system. The next component that I have is programs. So, with the coming development that's coming here to the walk, we have to move a lot of our special events throughout our park system. And I think this doesn't prevent a problem to me. I think this provides a great opportunity to expand our programs throughout our park system. We have beautiful parks, and I think this can give us the opportunity to create equitable access to all of our residents, to all of our events. Instead of having it in one single location, we're going to diversify and spread them throughout our park system as much as we possibly can. And the next component is maintenance. Very, very important. So over the last 2 years, like Mr. Gomez said, is we have been rehabilitating a lot of our park amenities to make sure that our kids and our families have the best program. So one example that I'm going to talk about is our playgrounds. We renovated 4 playgrounds, and we have another one coming soon here at Norwalk Park. I know it hasn't happened, but it is coming. And the next thing is we also improved the PIP. We installed PIP, which is called pour in place, which is that rubber surface that kids like to jump on playgrounds. We removed the wood chips or sand, and we put that in there. So that's one example of proper maintenance. Now that we did the improvements, we have to do the ongoing maintenance. So we recently had 2 recreation coordinators be certified through the National Recreation Park Association as certified playground safety inspectors, also known as CPSI. We currently have 1 staff in public services that has that accreditation, but we believe with the amount, we have a lot of playgrounds in Norwalk. So we got to make sure that those playgrounds are safe. Every single kid gets in that swing and that slide. So having staff with that certification allows us to achieve that goal. And then that's pretty much it, but just some coming soon items. I think, as you mentioned, all these different elements, we are going to be presenting a field allocation policy to the City Council shortly next year. As you know, with all these other fields that are going to open up with the Sarsico improvements, we need to have a policy that guides how we rent, how we allocate our fields. We currently don't have that. It presents problems at times, and we want to make sure that we create an equitable opportunity for nonprofit travel teams in every category so they can properly use our fields. We're also going to be working with our staff to train them correctly, know how to handle difficult situations in the park. We love our PSOs, but I also believe our rec leaders, we are leaders out there in the park, and we got to be able to handle difficult situations when they occur. And then lastly, we have teamed up with Qualtrics, which is the leading survey platform in the country. And we will be doing a citywide department analysis of what we do. I think we do an amazing job, but I want to make sure our residents tell me exactly what we're doing right and also what we're doing wrong and how can we provide a better service. So I'm very excited about that, and we hope to kick that off early next year and hopefully present those findings towards the end of the fiscal year to the City Council. With that being said, that concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions you might have.
I just have a comment again, something, if anybody that knows me knows that I love our parks. And I'm very important that they're safe and also that they're clean. I want clean parks. And so just something to think about as you identify those, park and rec staff members, that we, that you talk about those things. Who's going to be responsible for, when you see something, say something. I think that also includes the park cleanliness. So how do we assure that our parks maintain, a standard of being clean so that our residents can enjoy them? So again, something that, again, thank you, Jesus, for bringing this up tonight, something we've been talking about all year as we continue to work on the council's work to improve and build upon parks in the city of Norwalk. So thank you. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for that. Next, we have the commercial shopping center enhancements, and we'll have Mr. Alex Hamilton present.
Honorable Council, Mayor and Council, just some updates on our commercial shopping center enhancements. Before we start, it's important to know that we're trying to achieve a couple of goals here. We want to work closely with the property owners to uphold the standards of maintenance and compliance in the city of Norwalk. We also want to balance that with the need for economic development, sustainability, safety, and livability. So we all know that when our commercial districts thrive, the city thrives. So there are benefits that accrue from that. As a breakdown in terms of what the city still has as it relates to tools that we can use, there are three sections of the code that address property nuisances, property maintenance, from the property nuisances, including substandard buildings, to Chapter 8.56, which is the vacant property maintenance. That's mainly for foreclosed and abandoned properties. And then, of course, in the building code, Chapter 1532, we have abatement procedures for substandard buildings and properties. But again, one of the keys here is for the larger sites in Norwalk, we try to balance the need to market these sites as economic development opportunity sites with the property owner's responsibility to maintain those sites to an adequate degree. So it's important that we strike that balance. Going forward, I wanted to mention that there is so we do work collaboratively. Since I've been here starting in March, we've worked very, very closely with code compliance and our public safety staff and Deputy City Manager Ozzy Ramos almost bi-weekly to go over those problem properties, as we call them, that present challenges. Oftentimes we'll have meetings with the property owners and we'll look for solutions. We expect solutions from them. We'll offer solutions to them as well. But there are still some outstanding issues relating to cleanliness, sideway, parkway condition, trash enclosures, loitering, and graffiti. We're all aware of those properties that are out there, unfortunately. One of the recent, we haven't seen it yet, but it's going to be a success story, as there is a site, it's the Food Basket site. It's a shopping center site where we've had very productive meetings with a very engaged property owner who's looking at some fencing and re-landscaping the shopping center. What I want to emphasize is when we meet with them, we have to look for solutions that are also flexible for them and for the city that achieve all of those goals. So look for some enhancements to that shopping center that will address some of the issues associated with loitering and vagrancy and graffiti. So there's some proactive measures taking place on that site. Also, some of the things that we look at with these shopping centers is not only fencing, but also landscaping enhancements, lighting, security, all of those things we're really dialing in on with the property owner. I do want to say, as it relates to next steps, again, we do a good job of working with the other departments to ensure compliance or to gain compliance. Our goal is always voluntary compliance where possible. That said, and given that we do have code sections that allow for property maintenance and will hold property owners accountable, we do work with our city prosecutor in those cases that are maybe more difficult or more stubborn to deal with. And we also have options, last resort, of course, but we do have the citation authority, which we do utilize. We also have the ability to record liens and levies against the property. We do find that if we're more robust with that activity, it's a good way to gain compliance, because in my experience, when something gets recorded on title or gets placed on the property tax bill, then for a lot of the property owners that are not cooperative, it gets real at that point, because there's financial consequences associated with it. Some of the other options that we have that we're looking to implement, we have in a couple of instances through our business license program. Every business is required per the code to have a business license in the city of Norwalk. But we're looking as part of that program to impose certain reasonable conditions as a condition of issuance of that business license as it relates to security measures, to cameras and things. There always has to be a nexus to what we're asking a business owner to do, and it has to be tied to their business license, but there are certain things we can do as part of that process. So just wanted to let you know that there are tools that we have in our toolbox. We can use them. We can also be more proactive with that to a greater degree. It's started. We want to continue that. But we all know there's some properties in the city that we probably need to really take a hard look at and press a little bit harder. This concludes my presentation, and Ozzie, our Deputy City Manager, if he has anything to offer in that regard, but it has been a very collaborative working relationship.
I just, once again, another item that I've been working with Jesus and closely and staff all year, and I think it's a standard that we need to set here in the city of Norwalk that we've been working on, and it's not necessarily about dinging those properties and issuing them fines or citations, but just holding them accountable so that any resident here or anyone else coming into the city has a pleasant shopping experience. We expect it to be clean and safe, and so the partnership, I think, hopefully will help us get to that end even better. So thank you so much for that, Alex. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Great. Thank you, Alex. The next is we have a Veterans Day video here in Norwalk. We'd like to share that with you in the community for those who are unable to attend. And with that, we can go ahead and play the Veterans Day ceremony that was celebrated here in Norwalk.
In Norwalk, we honor and celebrate the veterans who have dedicated their lives to our country. On November 7th, the city hosted a special Veterans Day recognition ceremony at the Senior Center, offering our gratitude to these heroes for their service.
Thank you guys for inviting me. I'm excited, I'm humbled, and I'm honored to be with you today in your presence. And I look forward to seeing you all as we move forward in the city of Norwalk.
Then on November 11th, we held our annual Veterans Day tribute ceremony, where veterans, residents, and city leaders joined together to honor the courageous men and women who serve our nation.
On this Veterans Day and every day, let us honor our veterans and ensure their needs are met, their contributions remembered, their sacrifices respected.
We were especially honored to have U.S. Marine Corps Sergeant Crystal Alvarado, a proud Norwalk native, as our keynote speaker.
Today is a day where we remember these heroes and also take time to thank them for their selfless actions.
Thank you to all who joined us to celebrate our veterans, and to our veterans. Thank you for your unwavering service.
Thank you, veterans!
A proud moment for our veterans, for sure. Celebrating them every day. Next, we have a bi-weekly review video just to share what all of the activity that we have had here in the city of Norwalk. With that, we can play the video.
On November 7th, Norwalk families gathered for Pumpkin Patch Pageant Night. They chose their pumpkins, sketched designs, painted and carved faces to create unique characters of their own. On November 15th, the City of Norwalk and Mercy Housing California held a ribbon cutting to celebrate the opening of Veterans Villas. This affordable housing community will feature 60 affordable homes, with a third of units dedicated to homeless veterans.
I wanted to take the opportunity to thank Mercy Housing for this opportunity, because what they're doing is they're getting people off the streets, veterans, homeless veterans who've served their country. This is an opportunity for them to feel safe, because Mercy provides clean, safe, and affordable housing.
Later that same day, Bright Future Preschool Academy held a grand reopening. The preschool's goal is to create an environment where young children can thrive, grow, and get ready for a bright future. The City of Norwalk teamed up with Athens Services to give our community an eco-friendly boost on Saturday the 16th. Residents helped themselves to free mulch and compost, which offers environmentally friendly solutions for garden and landscape care. Let's keep Norwalk green.
As you can see, an array of events throughout the city, from young to those who garden to those who are active in our community. We have it for all. Thank you. That concludes my comments. Thank you very much.
I love it. Okay, thank you, Jesus. Moving on to our consent calendar, items 1 through 9.
Move it. Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Perez.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Valencia.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Ayala.
Aye.
Mayor Rios.
Aye. Okay, item 10 are advisory body appointments. Is there anyone wishing to make an appointment?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Mayor.
Yes. Anna?
Okay. I would like to appoint Mrs. Laura Valenzuela to the Senior Citizens Commission. I have a vacancy. And Laura, would you please come down? Yes. Senior Citizen Commission. Yes, I have a vacancy there. Stand over there.
Yeah. The podium.
Do you have the swearing?
Well,
I have it, so I can give to her orally, but we also need a second and a vote.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Perez.
Aye.
Ramirez. Valencia.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Ayala.
Aye.
Mayor Rios.
Aye. All right, Teresa.
Okay. If you please raise your right hand. And I'll go ahead and say it first, and then you can just follow along.
Okay.
So I, and state your name,
I, Laura Valenzuela,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
upon
which I'm about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council.
Yes.
Laura Valenzuela comes from a family of activism, and we welcome her as a commissioner. Thank you.
The other item on that, or issue on that, on item number 10, as I had previously discussed with the city clerk, just to make sure that we were okay to discuss, was the Youth Commission. And I want to bring it before discussion for the council. That commission, unfortunately, never really took off, got off the ground. And I think there's so much that we can learn and so much that our youth can contribute. And so I wanted to just make a couple of recommendations for consideration and discussion. The first one is to begin with 10 members, meaning each council member would appoint two, and the age range be 16 to 26 to include those that are a little bit younger, including our youth and our young adults. As I mentioned, I think that the city would definitely benefit from the involvement and input from our community, our youth and the community and young adults. We can look at the title as well, but yeah, I mean, that can also, I think the Youth Commission is fine in researching in other local municipalities. It's pretty common to have the title of the Youth Commission be Youth Commission, and some of the research that we've done, the age does range as well as some of the activities or responsibilities. However, they're pretty much all the same in terms of those individuals really being a contributing factor from their perspective to the city and how we're advancing forward. And that also the age is also up for consideration. As I said, just because unfortunately that commission didn't really get off the ground, and I really like to see that that happen. Can I get a motion?
I actually have a question
That's my
on
motion.
that, and maybe this, maybe it's something that staff can bring back to us at another time. We already have our TAP program, and that embodies a huge group of our teens and our youth. So I would like to see if maybe we pose this to the kids that are already involved in TAP, because this would be something in addition to what they're already doing, volunteering in the city and being involved. But maybe it's looking at something where we have designated leaders within TAP, because if you think about what they're already doing with school and homework and sports and extracurricular activities, and then you add TAP onto it, are we, and this is why I would like to see staff maybe bring something back, is are we overlapping those two programs? Or are we overlapping those commissions with what we have, this amazing program that no other city has? And is it something that we can really cross-utilize or combine them together?
Well, we actually tried that. That was our intent in the beginning. And I know Park and Rec staff was supposed to kind of take the lead on that, and it never got off the ground. And I think, the age obviously is 13 to 18, and it's our program now is specific to a TAP program. And so we tried that in the beginning, and it didn't work. And so that's why I'm presenting a motion that we come up with something different so that we do get the input of our youth in the community and young adults. Because we tried that already, it didn't work.
Well, before we do a motion, I'd rather see what the commission is going to do and bring that back so we can look at it to make sure it doesn't overlap.
Well, go ahead, Alan. You
Hold
can
on,
add
before you go on, I'd like to maybe comment real quickly. I know we always want to create more input, more commissions to better serve our community. The youth is an excellent idea. However, like you mentioned, we did try it before, but for the lack of interest, because teens are very busy. They have very busy lives, and it didn't get off the ground. So having said that, we have the Teen Alliance program, like Councilmember Perez did mention, these are the kids that are actively involved. They are the ones that commit so many service hours to our community that we can identify those kids as those potential commissioners. So why don't we go to them and create a subcommittee within the TAP organization to get that input from them? Because we know for a fact they're involved. They committed so many hours to the benefit of our community. And I think those are the future leaders of Norwalk, because they're involved, they're engaged, they commit, they have the experience, and they're a vital asset to this community. So I would first like to see less bureaucracy of creating commissions that don't go off the, we barely have quorums in our regular commissions that we have adults sitting, the historical heritage, all the other commissions. And we've seen cancellations after cancellations of commissions not getting together because of the lack of quorum. So I don't want to create, one thing we had mentioned before is create a Veterans Commission. But again, these are commissions that are vital to our community. But I would like to see first and foremost our resources that we currently have. I mean, we need to get input from our future leaders and our future youth, or actually our youth in our community, so that we can keep striving to do better, to be better, to being an example. But why reinvent the wheel when we got that vital, important resources already at our fingertips?
Alan, you had something to add?
Yes, no, I think those are all great comments, and we are currently working and we're doing research. We've been talking to a few other agencies. I have experience building a youth commission in previous cities, so we have that experience working with our superintendent as well. So we have some ideas. We want to present some findings to the city manager and then take those to the city council. So it's in our radar. But yeah, so we're looking research and we want to present something hopefully the council will like. And I think it would incorporate a lot of the comments that were just mentioned.
Okay, that would be great, because I know we have our TAP program and it's very robust and it's amazing, but I do think it is different. I mean, it's 13 to 18, right? So, I mean, any one of those, teens could apply. I don't know. I think they have a very busy schedule, as Councilmember Ramirez mentioned. They already volunteer, and I think their focus is a little bit different than what I really see a youth commission from ages of 16 to 26 being able to contribute to the community, being a young adult, having experienced either high school, maybe college or work. All of that is relevant, and our teens don't have all of that life experience that at least I would look to draw from as we look at growing, our economic development plan, improving our parks, addressing our safety, traffic, etc. I mean, overall city, I just think, and because the median age in the city is, pretty young. It's, I think, 34, 35. So it's a critical input that I'm hoping that we can draw from. And I know we tried drawing from the TAP program. It did not work. And so that's why, trying to reimagine, okay, how do we do this, bring it to life again so that we can actually talk about getting something off the ground. So thank you, Ellen, for listening to everyone's comments, and I hope that you'll consider all of them as you bring something back to the council. When can we anticipate that?
My goal is within the next 90 to 120 days.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
That's too long.
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor. May
Well, that includes holidays.
Yeah, we do have holidays.
We'll see what we can do to rush it.
Okay. Well, yeah, and I mentioned it today because as I, discussions with the city manager and Teresa, it was appropriate to bring up under this discussion item. So I hope that we come up with something that we can actually, see some action on.
Definitely. No, we understand the importance to the city council and the community, so we're going to put this on the top of our list.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
very much. Okay. Okay. So the next one, item 11, is consideration of establishing a sustainability commission. Again, I don't know flexibility on the title, but again, doing research and looking at what other communities are doing, and not necessarily that I copy exactly what it is, but I do like to keep a pulse on those communities that are thriving, moving forward, taking action, as I envision our city is. And especially as we adopted a strategic goal based on sustainability. We just heard about our urban tree management plan. And more importantly, I hear from the community a lot. Like, for example, I didn't mention it, but with the Youth Commission, I actually received emails from young adults who want to be part of, they want to get involved in their city, and we do have limited spots in our other commissions. They're limited. Whether or not they meet or how often is another, another conversation or discussion we can have. But there's limited openings, and I get a lot of interest from the community on how do I get involved. This is what I'm interested in. This is maybe potentially what I may be interested in. And as a council, I think that we all agree that input from the community is something that we eagerly expect and welcome. And so that's actually my motion. I'd like for consideration and discussion on establishing a commission based on the environment and sustainability.
Yes. Okay. I think that sustainability, green, our efforts to save our planet, basically, and to have our city be very proactive, as we already are, but maybe even a little bit more. I'd be interested in finding out what are the opportunities, what is their availability of something like this, and what it would look like. So I would second and to research this type of thing. I'm not prepared to vote on establishing a commission right here and now. Before I get some more information, before I have some conversations. So I would second your motion if it is to research the possibility of putting something like this together and what it would look like and for us to have conversations.
If I may, I'm all for sustainability. I've been an advocate for going green since day one in office in 2003 with the energy audit at the sports complex throughout the city. I support green space. I support recycling. I support compost and everything that we do in this great city. I'm just a little concerned again because of the lack of community involvement. And I'm not saying people don't get involved in our community. It just sometimes they get overwhelmed and they got busy lives. I'm all for it. I would love to see something be brought back to us for evaluation to see if there's an interest. But I also like to see if there's something that we could possibly put this under an umbrella of an existing commission to give it more substance for them to be involved and engaged, give them more topics to discuss. So that would be my recommendation: is to find what commission we currently have and perhaps create a subdivision of that commission for the purpose of sustainability, because technology and sustainability is always ongoing. There's things that are happening, and we're with our technology is so advancing that things that we're thinking about could be outdated already. So it's vital and it's key that we keep up with it. And I think it's important that we look at sustainability. I will always support sustainability and open space and going green, but let's give it a commission, some substance to continue to get them excited, to get them engaged and involved. So consider that when we do the evaluation as we move forward.
Rick, I'm going to agree with you on that. I think maybe what we do is we look at our commissions in general. I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound really weird, like it's far away, but I think these are budget topics. When we are looking at adding commissions, when we're looking at adding events, when we're looking at expanding departments, these are all conversations that need to happen during budget time period. But that really is only 3 to 4 months away before we start having. Yana's already having conversations about budget. We already know that. But we don't want to put something on the team and the staff to say bring something to us in 30 days when we know it really is a larger conversation. So maybe that's, Jesus, a conversation that we look at and evaluate all of our commissions, look at the budgets, look at the ones that are proposed to be added, what is their involvement in the city, what is their actual goal of the commission. And to add to that, Rick, I think what would be really, really helpful is how are we marketing these open commission positions to our community? It's one thing to say it's on the website, or are we putting it on social media? How often is it in Norwalk now? We get interest, and questions. Are we in turn sending the application, having that emailed out to those that inquire? So I think that we can involve this conversation a little bit more in depth to have a stronger conversation around our budgets and the involvement in each of those commissions in our departments, and look at how we're marketing our open commission positions as well.
If I may add too, overall, it's going to fall under the responsibility of our public services division, because all these concepts and ideas are going to fall under that department. So be mindful and consider when we propose that budget to maybe line item certain things as it relates to going green and sustainability. And then maybe perhaps with the recommendations that the council has given, we can come to some agreement when the time comes.
I'm reimagining things now. I don't really, I get we need time and everything, but there's some simple things that the city council as a leadership team can do. And these are simple suggestions, recommendations. I appreciate the discussion. And, but there's some things that we don't really need to really, how do I say this? It's, like I said, I'm reimagining what I would like to see happen here in the city of Norwalk, and it was as was already mentioned. If there's not a quorum, which I like the idea, and I was going to mention that as far as really looking at all of our commissions. I know that I had asked Teresa, our city clerk, to give me what those qualifications and responsibilities were for the different commissioners, and even what's out there currently, it's not updated. Some says this, some information is leaving others out, other information out. But when we talk about a lack of quorum, for me, that's a red flag. Why is there a lack of quorum? Is it because there's not an interest in that commission? Is it because maybe it's not relevant? Are there other things that we need to consider? So, there's a lot of things that the council thinks about and has to make decisions on. And I value everyone's input, definitely. But things, I'm ready to move. There's things to be done. And I'm listening to the community, and the community wants to be involved. And this is just an opportunity to have them do that, through their interest, aligned with the goals that the city has already. I just think that's very, very important. And as far as a city budget item, I get that. I know in the past we've, allocated maybe a few $1,000s to a commission. I'd be prepared to commit, getting those funds for a sustainability commission. I'll get them somewhere, but I'll get them to get that commission off the ground. So I just, a couple of months, I get it, but the time for action is now, and so that's how I feel about it. But so I will make a motion to return an item to the city council for discussion on all of the commissions, presentation from staff to discuss every commission, their roles and responsibilities, how often they meet, how many commissioners are on there presently. Is there a recommendation for additional? Is there a cost associated with each commission? What are the events that they contribute to plan for? And anything else that the staff thinks is important for the council to have as far as information available to them to make a decision on what our commissions should look like moving forward. That's my motion.
So your motion is to create an audit of all the commissions?
Well, I heard the council mention that they want to see what the commissions are, what they do when they meet. Yeah.
So an audit, so a complete
I guess
audit.
it could, it's a presentation of information. It could be an audit. I don't know.
Well, it's considered an audit because we're actually digging into the meat of the commissions. And, I get it. I'm really supportive of what you want to do. But we already get those reports. I mean, on our weekly reports, it tells you absences, what they do, et cetera, et cetera. The only thing I don't see is the budget item for each commission.
Well, I guess
but that's staff involved.
I'd like to understand council's position on what they're looking for to determine the addition of these commissions. I mean, what is it that you all need? What information are we looking for?
I can't sit here and approve a commission when I don't know what the commission's going to do. We don't know what the commission's going to do. We don't know what their overall goal is and how they're going to engage with staff. What does staff need from them? What is it? Obviously it's an advisory body, but what are they advising on? There needs to be an outline, a description. What are we looking for? What are they going to do? What are they going to say? Who are they going to meet with? What are their qualifications? If it's sustainability, do they have to have certain credentials or specialties, a job in X, Y, and Z, a passion for this? I can't just consider adding a commission when we as a body, just from this cover slide have no idea what they're going to do.
Okay, so is staff prepared? Are you asking that staff bring something back?
I'm asking that they look at it and bring something back at an appropriate time, which, to be honest with you, that's why I said this is a budget item. No matter what, we're looking at adding an entire grouping for even with all of these commissions. If you think about it, we're at midterm. We're going to be looking at midterm in January. We will be in January in 6 weeks, 7 weeks. So by that time, we are already approving our mid-year budget. And that's things that have already happened, expenses that we are looking to have come up in the next 4 months before the end of the fiscal year.
But we don't approve it till May.
Exactly. I know for a fact that just saying, hey, we want you to make this brand new commission and come up with it by 10 days so it can be on the agenda in December. I want to look at reality. What are they currently working on? What is the staff currently on their plates? Is it feasible to put that on them to say, hey, we know we're doing this in the city already, and drop everything else and build a brand new commission? Let's give them the ample time. If we want to really build something together, give them ample time to do the research to say, this is something that we feel strongly about, and this will make a great commission.
Well, that's why I ask if we should look at all the commissions so that we can determine which ones we have, how many.
Yes.
What are their responsibilities?
Bring it back at budget.
I don't know. That's almost 7 months down the line.
I think if we want to do this the right way, time is important.
Yeah.
We don't want to rush.
Don't rush it.
Just like the Youth Commission, we rushed it. And it's flopped. No one showed up. No one had an interest. Although they say they have an interest, and kids, and they get busy. They have lives, and I just don't want to see that happen. I want to make sure that if we're going to do this, we do it right, because sustainability is very important. It's very important. There's a lot of budget money that we can get from the federal government.
Yes.
There's grant funds that we want to seek. So in order to do that correctly, I think time is important that we really examine, so that we're able to capture those fundings as they come up. And I think if we line item during the budget process, it just sets us up for success rather than failure.
It just seems such a long time.
It is.
7 months down the
But
line.
we got 4 years.
Yeah, but we have a
We
lot
got
to
4
do in
years,
4
so
years. We have a lot to do in 4
I know we want to
years.
get up and running, and I
do.
totally agree with that. I don't like to wait, but we got to look at the success of these commissions. Time and time again, I hear, they got canceled, they got postponed. There's really nothing meaty.
Well,
we've
I think
talked,
that's why
Alex,
we
right?
should-
We've talked on the even planning commission, when there's a lot of important projects going, they get canceled, they get postponed, because we want to give them meat and potatoes when they're sitting on these commissions to maximize their time and their energy.
So can we look at an audit before that?
I think the audit would have to be a budget item, to be honest.
Also a budget item? Why?
There's cost factor in everything that we do here.
I just want to make sure that we are informed on what our commissions look like, what they're actively doing, given the opportunity for all of our residents to be involved. And as you mentioned, Rick, sometimes they don't even have a quorum. Why is that? Why are they not meeting? I mean, they are advisory bodies. Why is it that they're not meeting to, do the work of the people? Which is why, as we just saw today, with Ms. Valenzuela, who was appointed, to a commission. I mean, we do that for a reason. There's a purpose.
Well, I'd like to make a comment. I've been thinking about this because when I was on staff, I was actually a commission liaison to 2 different commissions. And I think that what you see in all the discussion about the Youth Commission, the Youth Commission goes back like 30 years. And it had starts and stops and starts and stops. Initially, it was going to be as part of the cadet program when Kevin came to public safety in the 90s. So there's been it's been difficult to get that off the ground, mostly because of how busy, the kids are, whether it was an older group of kids or a younger group of kids. But there's one thing that's clear to me, is that the most successful commissions we have are the ones that are structured that commissioners are kept busy and that they have a real clear mission. Because we never have a problem putting anybody on Recreation Commission. We never have anybody have a problem getting anybody on the Social Service Commission, the Public Safety Commission, the Senior Commission, because I think those staff liaisons have done a really good job in identifying what the mission is of that group and have them doing not just busy projects, but projects that are important to move the ball forward. And I'm just afraid is that if you jump out of the gate too quick without considering those things, that you could be setting yourself up for failure from the very beginning. And so that's, you know, that's my perspective as having been a staff liaison, not even so much as having been on council. And there's commissions we have right now, they're doing it right, and some not so much. And I don't know if it's because their mission has changed or whatever. I'm really not sure, but I can tell you, I mean, we see every week when we see, you know, when we get these lists of where we have, you know, vacancies, and there's certain commissions that there are never vacancies because people want them. So that I can see doing an audit of all the commissions, I guess, even though I think that would be a heavy lift. I'm more concerned about auditing the commissions that are having problems with attendance, because then I would have to take a step back and say, why is attendance a problem here? You know, do they have a mission? Do they have adequate projects to do? Do they feel like their input is of value to the city? So on a little bit different twist than everybody else, yeah, I would like to see an audit, but I'm much more interested in the commissions that are having a tough time with vacancies and attendance, because there's some of those commissions that we have right now that, you know, clearly they're functioning correctly. I've been to a lot of those actual commission meetings, and I can see why people are engaged, because they have real work to do. They have a real mission. So my suggestion is that we're going to bring that back. My focus is more on the ones that are having vacancy issues. And don't forget that every time one of these commissions is created, there has to be a staff liaison that does, you know, that works with the chair to put together the agenda, you know, to just do all the busy work of what the commission's actually going to do. I would say, you know, between the minutes, the agenda, programming, and stuff like that, when I was a commission liaison, it was at least 5 hours a week, at least. And so don't forget that cost also, is that staff cost. Because if they're not managers, then they're going to have flex time, overtime, something like that. So there will be a hard cost that way also. So I mean, I don't know how you want to approach this in terms of looking at it, you know, how we want to call what we want to call it, but there's some things that we should definitely look at. And I think they're going to be a lot more, I think the dysfunctions are going to be a lot more obvious than you might think at this juncture.
I would agree with that, Tony. I think we can agree to disagree, but I think the consensus is that, you know, let's look at the commissions and see why we don't have a quorum. Let's see, you know, touch on those points that you mentioned. You know, is it something that we need to revamp to do differently? And in doing so, hopefully introduce a commission that can be fruitful and can get interest from the community so that it's productive and can give back, to give our residents, again, an opportunity to be involved, which is what they're asking for. So with all of that said, is there a consensus that we're looking for an audit? Are we asking or giving staff the flexibility to determine what that looks like based on hearing the council's dialogue around the topic? Is that something, who would be charged with that, Jesus?
Our office administration, and it'd be, if I may, sort of a status of all the commissions. so that you could get a clear picture of each of the commissions and then have a discussion based on that.
I like the word status better than audit, because I think that it's,
And it'll include budget,
Yeah,
it'll
yeah.
include their mission and their goals and all that. Yeah.
okay. Do we need a motion for that? Right? No, I don't
No.
think we've heard and,
No.
okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for the dialogue. All right, now we're moving on to our public hearing section, item number 12, ordinance number 24-1755, zoning text amendment number 2405, to amend various sections of Title 17 of the Norwalk Municipal Code to update update the city's density ordinance and update the definition of family. The public hearing is now open. Teresa?
Yes, Mayor, members of the City Council. Notice of the public hearing was posted on the city's official website and our official posting sites on November 7th. It was also published in our local adjudicated newspaper on November 8th, and there were no communications.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, our senior planner, Gabriel Salazar, will be presenting this item. But before he starts, this is an update of our state density bonus ordinance, which was last adopted in 2014. This is one of those items that our housing elements requires that we do, which we're doing. We're doing a lot of things in furtherance of our housing element, as you'll see and as you are aware. But I just wanted to let you know that this is something required by the state. So we've crafted an ordinance working with a consultant that specializes in this to keep us in compliance with the state density bonus law. Gabriel?
Thank you, Alex. Good evening, Honorable Mayor Rios and members of the City Council. Before you is a presentation for consideration regarding zoning text amendment number 2024-05. The city's sixth cycle housing element listed the density bonus ordinance modification as a commitment included in our housing element update program. This housing element update program lists anticipated timelines for various actions. For this proposed zoning text amendment in our program, we listed a 2-year time frame, and this is within that time frame. Additionally, there's a new proposed definition for family, which will be inclusive, non-discriminatory, and eliminates the exclusion of uses. As Alex mentioned, the density bonus ordinance was established in 2014 to ensure the Norwalk Municipal Code was compliant with state density bonus law. Okay. And allowed for the creation of more affordable housing units for eligible projects. Density bonus is a mechanism which allows developers to obtain favorable local development requirements in exchange for building affordable units. And which allows developers to build a greater density of units greater than the underlying zone. The proposed zoning text amendment changes are proposed to ensure compliance with state density bonus law, as mentioned, and to create more affordable housing units in the city. Specifically, to codify and effectuate the proposed zoning text amendment, these technical actions will occur. For instance, repeal the current density bonus. 2, creating a new Article 5 supplemental regulations section in the Norwalk Municipal Code, which will be included in Chapter 17. Also, it will create a new section in Chapter 17.04 titled Density Bonus. It is anticipated that the proposed changes will increase potential housing opportunities for projects that are eligible for density bonus incentives are those that include the following: those with affordable housing units at various income levels, those with senior citizens, those projects that have student housing. The proposed changes to the zoning text amendment in the zoning text amendment will also streamline the current planning approval process and amend the review authority table. Okay. This slide and the next slide show the maximum density allowed in these residential zones. So for instance, in the R2, the maximum number of dwelling units is 16 dwelling units per acre. In the R3, it's 22 dwelling units per acre. In the R4, it's in the range of 23 to 30 dwelling units per acre. Okay. Additionally, like I said, it also mentions, in the next slide, also shows the maximum densities for the specific planned areas. Okay. Okay, next slide, please. Oh, sorry. Okay. This is an example of a project that was able to benefit and utilize the density bonus. As you all are aware, the Mercy Housing Veterans Villas at 13601 San Antonio Drive. Mercy Housing, as you know, collaborated with the city using city-owned property and adjacent property that became city-owned to develop a 100% affordable housing development for extremely low, very low, and low-income households. The project was proposed in the R4 zone, which allowed for 30 dwelling units per acre. The site was 1.5 acres, meaning that the code allowed 45 dwelling units for that project. Being that the project proposed 100% affordable units, the project was able to add an additional 15 units for a total of 16 dwelling units for that project. The way that the eligibility is determined for the density bonus is based on the percent and proportion of affordable housing units proposed in a project. So, for instance, for the Mercy Housing Veterans Villas, they were able to they were able to benefit from at least a minimum of 3 concessions because the criteria provided for housing was 100% affordable units. In most cases, when a developer proposes a 35% affordable to a city is required, like I said, to a minimum of 3 concessions. In this project, there were 4 concessions provided to this project. Okay. And this slide here just shows the various income levels and the total number of dwelling units per income level category. As I mentioned, in this case, the Mercy Housing project qualified for 4 concessions, which were used for building height, open space, unit size, and trash storage areas. As you know, the Norwalk Municipal Code has certain development standards or criteria that a project has to meet. For building heights, like we mentioned, because they were afforded these concessions, they were able to build a little higher, or they were able to build a little smaller unit, or they were able to modify the trash storage area. Okay. As part of this zoning text amendment, as staff mentioned, we're modifying the family definition. This proposed family definition is consistent with state density bonus law. It also will be more inclusive, non-discriminatory, and does not exclude any uses. Okay. This item was considered on August 23rd by the Planning Commission, where the Planning Commission adopted resolution number 24-11 with a 4-0 vote to recommend to the City Council to approve 1, zoning text amendment number 2024-05, and number 2, consider and find that the project is exempt from the CEQA pursuant to guideline section 15061B3. Staff recommends that City Council A, introduce by title only ordinance number 24-1755, an ordinance of the City of Norwalk amending Title 17 of the Norwalk Municipal Code related to density bonus ordinance and update the definition of family and schedule for adoption. And again, also consider and find that the project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to 15061 B3, the common sense exemption. That concludes staff's presentation. Staff is here to answer any questions.
Okay, before we move on to questions, is there anyone wishing to testify? on this item?
I don't have any speaker cards.
No?
No.
Okay. Does the council have any questions? No?
I'll move
Okay.
it.
Roll call, please.
Council members Perez.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Valencia.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Ayala.
Aye.
Mayor Rios.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, closing that portion of the public hearing and opening up the second. I do, though, want to mention, if you are going to speak on item number 13, if you would please take a moment to complete a speaker card. Now is the time to reopen the continued public hearing to consider resolution number 24-58, final environmental impact report, state clearinghouse number 20220700103, resolution number 2456, general plan amendment to number 2201, 2401, and resolution number 2457. Zone change is number 2201, ordinance number 241754 with the zoning text amendment. To establish specific plan area number 17, the Norwalk Transit Village specific plan. Public hearing is now open. Teresa, noticing report, please.
Right with you. Thank you, Mayor, members of City Council. As you know, this item was first brought forward in October. So at that time, when we noticed the public hearing, they mailed out 546 notices to property owners within 500 feet of the subject site. It was originally posted on October 4th at the city's 3 official sites and the website, also published in the city's adjudicated paper at the same time. During the October meeting, we reported on emails that we had received. Subsequent to that, we've received an additional 81 communications in opposition to the project. And just give you a general overview so you have that handy. Just basically indicating reasons for opposition. And actually, I can withhold that until comments if you'd like to. Sorry, so that I won't take up time here.
Okay, before we go into the public comments, Jesus confirming, do we have a staff report on this or no?
So what we'll do is we'll continue the public comment, and we
Okay.
do have a staff report / rebuttal. After all the comments
Got
are
it.
received, we'll present.
Okay. Any cards for members of the public wishing to speak? Okay, continuing on with public comments, I have a speaker card here for Leonard Della Reese. I don't know. Okay, Della Rosa, thank you. Each public member wishing to speak will have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Mic on? Yeah. Good evening, Madam Mayor. Oh, sorry if
good.
that was too loud. Got a deep voice. Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, and city staff. My name is Leonard De La Rosa. I'm a member of the Western States Regional Council of Carpenters. I live in the local area, work, and reside in the vicinity of the project. I believe I will be impacted by the environmental impact of the project. City Council should require the project to be built with contractors that will hire locally, pay prevailing wage, and utilize apprenticeship from a state-certified apprenticeship training program. Workforce requirement reduces construction-related environmental impacts while benefiting the local economy and workforce development. In recent 2020 report titled Putting California on the High Road,
a job and climate action plan for 2023, the California Workforce Development Board concluded that investing in growing, diversifying, and upscaling California workforce can positively impact a return on climate mitigation efforts. In addition, the South Coast Air Quality Management District recently found that local higher requirements can result in air pollution reduction. Lastly, recently, the state of California reiterated the commitment towards encouraging workforce development and housing affordable through the Affordable Housing and High Roads Job Act of 2022, otherwise known as Assembly Bill 2011, which requires projects to pay workers a prevailing wage and hire from state-certified apprenticeship programs for projects meeting certain site affordability and development standards. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to call the speaker up, and then I'm going to call the name of the second individual who will be right up. If you can just be prepared to speak after the individual before you. So this first one is David Ventura, and it'll be Andrew Seymour right up next.
Good evening. My name is David Ventura, and I'm a proud member of Unite Here Local 11 Labor Union, and we oppose this project. I believe this project must have strong environmental standards. I'm disappointed that the requirements were downgraded since the draft environmental impact report was released. The building standards in the draft were Tier 2, but that has since been reduced to Tier 1. This Transit Village project should set a high standard for environmental sustainability. Please, please do not allow this project to go forward until this issue and other issues are addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. After Andrew, it's Juana Milara.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Andrew Seymour, also here with Unite Here Local 11. So on behalf of Local 11, I'm here to oppose the Norwalk Transit Village Specific Plan, including its associated entitlements and environmental review. So Local 11 previously sent in a letter regarding the draft EIR on this project. We're concerned that the city has missed opportunities to use the site quickly to address the housing crisis, as well as about the reduced environmental building standards included in the draft EIR, and the lack of measures to encourage transit use in the project. We also encourage that the hotel component of the project be replaced with additional housing. So as included in our letter to the council in October, our points are as follows. So first, amid Southern California's housing crisis, we believe it is important to use the 32 acres of public land for public needs as soon as possible. So it has been vacant for too long. When used as a youth correctional facility, the facility had 441 beds. And during the pandemic, the facility was used for healthcare needs. So in lieu of demolishing all of it, we should immediately use the facility for emergency housing, supportive housing, or other emergency uses. We can find ways of reusing the current buildings and building around them. And secondly, the final EIR reduced the environmental building standards proposed for the project from Tier 2 in the draft EIR to Tier 1 in the final, and applied them only to the non-residential part of the project. So this means that most of the project, which is multifamily, will not be subjected to Tier 1 or Tier 2 standards, even though the city admits it will have a significant impact on greenhouse gas emissions. The EIR fails to require robust CalGreen tier requirements to mitigate admittedly significant GHG impacts. So third, there are no required transit incentives for employees or residents. We also want more specificity around bike lanes. This is a large site that could have great bike infrastructure. So let's make sure this truly is a transit village. Fourth, public land should be used for housing. The hotel should be removed in favor of more housing. That's it. Thank you very much.
After Juana is Christina Sanchez.
Good evening, Mayor and City Councils. My name is Juana Melara, and I am a Unite Here Local 11 member. I have lived in Norwalk for 36 years, and I am proud to call this my city home. But I am here in a strong opposition to this project. I am appalled that the city had decided to use valuable open land for this proposal project. This could be a great opportunity to use our public land for the public good. For a strong This could be a great opportunity to use this public land for a public good. Unfortunately, the project downgraded its environmental measures, failing to acknowledge the urgent climate crisis. The project will add over 7,000 daily trips to our road without any incentive for residents and workers to use public transportation incentives for residents and workers to use public transportation. Additionally, the project allows 150 room hotel. As a hotel housekeeper, I can tell you, we don't need a hotel in Norwalk. We need to create more livable community for all. And I ask you, please do not support this project. It won't help Norwalk City. Thank you so much.
After Christina is Renee Solas.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Cristina Sanchez. I've been a resident of this community for 26 years and a proud member of Unite Here Local 11. I am blessed to be a mother of 4 daughters. My hope is for them to grow up here and build their futures in this wonderful place. However, I cannot support this proposed project for several reasons. For too long, we have allowed public land to remain empty when it could have been using it to address our community housing needs. The former youth correctional facility, which had 441 beds, stood vacant for years. It raises the question, why haven't we repurposed this existing building to house those in need rather than allowing them to sit unused? I firmly believe that the public land should prioritize the housing crisis we face rather than being used for a hotel. It does not make sense to divert valuable resources away from these essential tasks of providing homes for our families. Please consider the long-term implications of this project and prioritize the community's needs. I urge you not to support this initiative. Thank you for your attention.
After Renee is Justin Walters.
Good evening. My name is Renee Solis, and I'm back again tonight to talk to you about encouragement to disapprove this CYA or Norwalk Transit Center proposal. I've read many documents and studies in the proposals, and here are some of my findings. AB 518 says that the sale to the state, from the state to the city of Norwalk, it is written that is for low to moderate housing, not low to very low income housing. And why are we considering 40% of that to be low income housing? Are all of the other projects, such as the future former Keystone Lanes, Civic Center Lawn, and the former indoor swap meet housing projects, set to have 40% low income as well, apartments? How about some moderate housing to attract higher waged residents to want to come and live in Norwalk? Section 4 and 4.1 address the aesthetics and shares that this project will have a significant impact on the surrounding areas. That is an understatement. Does that make it okay to build a 65-foot, five-story high high-rise apartment to block our view of the mountains or have existing residents to look at towels hanging over apartment balconies? I don't think so. Adding trees to block this view is not the answer because it can take up to 20 years to grow that tall and mature, and it does not solve the problem in the short term. A question for you. Why would you, the City Council, not want to help create a city of a higher status and desire? Are you that disconnected from the community, which is the exact opposite of the community's motto, a connected community? There is only one council member who lives in this neighborhood and will be affected, but the 5 of you have the power to make this decision for all of us residents. The saddest part to me is all of you will term out, and the residents within this area will have to live with your decision until we move away or we die. Isn't that what you, the Norwalk City Council, were elected to do? Take care of your community and listen to what us, the residents, want, not what the builders or just the money would bring in. My parents picked this house back in 1970 because it was not a big city, but because it was a community of people where they wanted to live and raise their children. I hope you think about that and the questions I've asked and the items I've shared this evening when you place your vote to approve or deny this project. Realize that you have the impact of the future of the community and to keep Norwalk a small town, family community, or to make it a big urban city. Thank you for listening and for your time. And P.S., thank you for my stop signs on Foster Road.
Following Justin is Gus Torres.
Good evening, Council. My name is Justin Walters, and I'm a union plumber from Local 78, here to represent our 2,100 members. I'm here speaking against the Norwalk Transit Village. As it stands, the developer has refused to guarantee that the workers will actually be from this community, and it has refused to guarantee that they'll be trained properly through an apprenticeship. Therefore, we ask the Council to either continue the item or vote no. We're here to ask you to fight for the people of Norwalk, where the working people can actually get ahead and earn a living wage, and not just the developers. Thank you for your time.
After Gus is Godfrey.
Good evening, all. Good evening, everybody. My name is Gus Torres, alongside my fellow agents Tom Morton and Jesse Sanchez. We're here speaking today on behalf of our members that live in Norwalk, pipe fitters, welders, apprentices, and service tech. And we're here to make sure that the council hears our strong opposition to the Norwalk Transit Village project. The applicant for this project has refused to hire responsible contractors, and they have refused to hire locally from our skilled and trained workforce that lived here in Norwalk. Please stand with our workers and with your community struggling to make ends meet by continuing this item. Norwalk deserves to have its local and skilled workforce as part of this project. If a continuance is not asked for, then we call you to reject with a no vote tonight. Thank you for your time, and God bless.
Good evening. My name is Godfrey Washira. I'm speaking on behalf of Creed LA. Creed LA asks the City Council tonight to continue tonight's hearing to address the project's environmental impacts in a revised EIR. CEQA requires the city to analyze the environmental, climate change, and public health impacts of projects and to mitigate significant impacts in the EIR. The project's EIR does not comply with CEQA because the project has significant climate change and noise impacts, but the EIR does not provide adequate mitigation. For example, the project will have significant greenhouse gas emissions, but does not require basic GHG mitigation measures, such as adding more EV charging to reduce mobile emissions. Other measures like improved energy efficiency, reduced water consumption, and increased electrification would further reduce GHG emissions from project building operations, which would cost more than a third of the project's GHG emissions, but the EIR does not include these measures. Sadly, the city originally proposed better GHG mitigation measures in the draft EIR, but removed them from the final EIR. This is the opposite of what CEQA requires, and frankly, opposite of standard practice. Regarding construction noise, the EIR assumes there would be no impact so long as construction occurs during daytime hours. One, that does not make sense. And two, it does violate CEQA, which requires analysis of temporary noise impacts. Construction noise can be loud. Creed LA's expert showed that the project would have significant construction noise impacts that are completely unmitigated by the EIR. The city must update the EIR to require noise barriers during construction and other mitigation measures to reduce these impacts. We encourage the City Council to review our legal and expert comments, and we also request that the Council ask city staff to fix these issues in a revised EIR before considering project approval. Thank you for your consideration.
Next speaker is Guadalupe Torres, and will be assisting with translation. After Guadalupe is Jose Covarrubias.
Buenas noches. Mi nombre es Guadalupe Torres y soy miembro de Unit Here Local 11. Si bien este proyecto se llama Transit Village, me preocupa que no se esté haciendo lo suficiente para fomentar realmente el tránsito.
Her name is Guadalupe Torres. She's a member of the United here, Local 11, and she is worried about the transit village. She's worried about the sufficient
para fomentar, para que el tránsito sea más rápido.
That it's more quicker.
No hay requisitos para pases de tránsito gratuitos, programas de viajes garantizados o incentivos para compartir en el coche u otras formas de fomentar el tránsito.
She feels that there's no rules or regulations regarding the programs to have guarantees of incentives for her
compartir el auto, coche, auto,
okay. Guarantee for her car, for a place to park.
También creo que debería haber más carriles para bicicletas como parte de este proyecto, un carril norte, un carril sur.
That there be more bicycle lanes for north and south.
Este proyecto añadirá 7,000 viajes más a nuestras carreteras. Deberíamos hacer más para reducir el impacto del tráfico. Por favor, no lo apoyen en su forma actual.
Okay. Over 7,000 vehicles are going to be on our roads, and to please and to reduce the impact of traffic, and not to approve this form of
¿Cómo está ahora?
How it's going to be done right now.
Gracias.
Thank you.
After Jose, Elizabeth Rico is up next.
All right, good evening. Back again. My name is Jose Covarrubias. As you vote today for the Transit Village, I ask that you consider current residents and not only possible future residents when you make your decision. I believe the city should focus on addressing the issues at hand, which are persistent in the area, before they approve a project that's only going to exacerbate this and make things worse for the residents. One of the issues that's very present, as we know, that Ozzy's been tasked with, is the parking issue. I think it's naive to think that a resident is only going to have one vehicle. That's not realistic. We're going to have a severe increase in parking being taken up by residents from the transit village to surrounding communities, like we see right now with the cul-de-sacs in front of the Norwalk Manor, where most of the cars on the street are from residents across the street, which you can actually see cross across Broomfield to get home. This impacts those residents. My concern is now you're adding 700 plus units. They're going to need a place to park their vehicle. And when those cul-de-sacs are full, they're going to start making their way out towards our neighborhood on Foster and Murrock and so forth. And they're just going to hike back to their location, to their residence. So I think that's something that we have to consider, aside from the impact to traffic, which I discussed on the previous meeting, and how that traffic study was flawed in accurately portraying that impact once the development is built, if it's approved. Another concern is of the hotel, because we have two other hotels within a quarter mile, which are usually empty, and one of them being the DoubleTree, which is on par with quality that the Hilton would present. I don't think there's much need for it. And one of the biggest pitches was trying to catch that Disney crowd. Anaheim is all hotels, and Airbnb is taken over. Realistically speaking, a hotel is not needed. And lastly, the commercial property aspect of it doesn't make much sense when there's so many empty businesses throughout the city, boarded up with plywood, looking terrible. We have a problem with businesses that are open, as Alex discussed, and now we want to bring in businesses which might get full at first, but what's stopping them from not renewing their lease and then being closed, much like many of the businesses, like the old Bank of America building on Norwalk Boulevard, which, if any of you drive by there after 9 p.m., it looks like a homeless shelter. There's shopping carts and tents everywhere. It's already dangerous, as Councilmember Valencia said, that she was robbed at Target, which is one of the nicer businesses in the city. Why add to this problem? So I just ask that all of you consider not only the project, but also the area that it's directly impacting when you make your decision, because you're impacting people's lives. You guys are looking for community input. You've gotten over 80 emails. We have a full house that's waited 2 hours to speak because we're passionate. So I hope you listen to us and you make the correct decision. Thank you.
After Elizabeth is Maria Casaneda.
Hi, good evening. I want to start with addressing the recent agenda that revealed that the significant impact that this project is going to have is unavoidable, and that it is going to have an impact, but considering the benefits, it's going to be okay, pretty much minimizing the impact, not just environmentally, but the traffic. My main concern as a parent of a child with epilepsy who does require need of ambulance is the comments that was made by the CHP, which still has not been addressed because it's referring the traffic study that was done, which is not accurate. So just kind of pointing that out, that comment has not been fully addressed because the traffic study is not accurate. It's based on a different population. Now, another thing is I want to talk about today's special presentations, which I thought was wonderful. The Native American presentation about the month that the city's going to be now providing. In light of that, so just reading the agenda and the rebuttals, it sounds like you guys are ready to approve this project because it has financial gain. I want to recommend that if this project is approved, that in honor of what you did today, that you also bring in the Native American monitors hired by Caltrans, because this land is already mapped in the Native American maps that are available as Gabrielinos tribe. So there is some connection and that would require a tribal representative to come out prior to the construction of anything. Another thing I want to touch upon was just looking at my time, looking on the liability, that if there is in fact an increase of response of like ambulances or law enforcement, I hope the money you're going to make is worth the liability that's going to come with legal repercussions. And just to finish off, want to address the small businesses like my husband did. If you guys do choose to approve this today and dismiss everything that everyone has been saying for your financial gain, know that small businesses are in need, but unfortunately they're not succeeding right now. So needless to say that those commercial buildings will end up be used by big corporations. And it sounds like you guys were reelected, so congratulations. Please keep in mind that the community is impacted by your decisions. So there's other options to this project, which is lesser, it's residential. And I say if you do vote, consider the 350 residential option. Thank you.
Buenas noches, concejales y demás personas civiles que están aquí. Mi nombre es María Castaneda. Tengo
María,
viviendo en
¿gustaría que alguien le pueda trasladar a inglés?
Sí, sí.
Where's the earlier volunteer? Did you want to? Thank you so much.
Okay. Hi, my name is Maria.
Tengo viviendo en esta comunidad de Norwalk 29 años.
I've been living in this community for 29 years.
No estoy de acuerdo que se construyan los 770 unidades.
I'm not in agreement with the construction of 770 units.
Ni el hotel.
Nor the hotel.
Porque la ciudad hermosa de Norwalk se va a sobrepoblar.
Because the beautiful city of Norwalk is going to be overpopulated.
En diferentes aspectos.
In different aspects.
Más personas.
More people.
Más contaminación.
More pollution.
Más carros.
More cars.
Menos parking.
Less parking.
Tanto yo como mi familia.
Myself and my family.
Vamos a llegar cansados de trabajar.
We're going to be coming home from work very tired.
Y no vamos a encontrar parking.
And it will be difficult for us to find parking.
Porque esas personas.
Because all these people.
De los 770 apartamentos.
From the 770 apartments.
Se van a venir y van a ocupar nuestros parking.
Because they will come and take our parking.
Vamos a venir a poner quejas.
We're going to come and have complaints.
Nos van a dar una aplicación.
You guys are going to provide us with an application.
Nos van a cobrar.
You guys are going to charge us.
Nos van a dar un sticker.
You guys are going to give us a sticker or a ticket.
Y nos van a cobrar cada mes.
And you guys are going to charge us every single month.
No va a ser justo.
It's not going to be fair.
Porque nosotros no estamos de acuerdo.
Because we're not in agreement.
En que construyan tantas unidades.
For this construction, well, all these units to be constructed.
Si la ciudad acepta.
If the city accepts this project.
Que acepta esos proyectos que se construyan los 770 unidades.
If the city accepts this project to build 770 units,
pues que también acepte
I should also accept
nuestra petición.
Our petition.
Que no se nos cobren.
That you should not charge us.
Por la aplicación.
For the application.
Por el parking.
For the parking.
Y el sticker.
And the sticker.
Y que nos haga una barda.
And that you should create like a barrier.
Por la Bloomfield.
Down Bloomfield.
Para protegernos.
To protect us.
Y seguir teniendo.
And to continue having.
Privacidad.
Privacy.
También no estamos de acuerdo
We're also not in agreement
porque nuestras propiedades
because our properties
van a bajar de valor.
are gonna our properties will devalue,
Y porque nos van a aumentar los taxes.
and our taxes are gonna go be higher.
Nosotros estamos actuando
We're acting
de manera pasiva
We're acting in a passive mode
y con educación.
and with education.
Queremos que nuestra voz
We want our voices
sea escuchada
to be heard
por los concejales
by our council members
positivamente
in a positive way,
y que comprendan
and for you to understand
y analicen
and to analyze
nuestra situación
our situation,
y que se pongan en nuestros zapatos
and to place yourself in our shoes,
y se den cuenta de todo
and so you could understand what's
el estrés
and for you to understand our stress,
que estamos viviendo en estos momentos
the stress that we're living in these moments,
y el sufrimiento que pone en peligro nuestra seguridad.
And the suffering that puts our lives at risk.
Nuestra tranquilidad también.
And our tranquility.
Por favor, concejales.
Please, council members.
Por favor, escuchen nuestra petición.
Please listen to our petition.
Y no sean sordos a nuestra decisión.
And don't be deaf to our decisions.
Y vean en todo lo que nos va a afectar.
And look at how everything is going to affect us.
No estamos cerrados a todo.
We're not close to everything.
En lo que estamos de acuerdo.
And what we are in agreement is
las 350 unidades.
The 350 units.
Y centro comercial.
And the commercial central.
Nosotros los elegimos a ustedes.
We elected you as our representatives.
Pensando que nos iban a ayudar.
Thinking that you would help us.
Apoyar.
Support us.
Y a escuchar.
Listen to us.
Comprensivamente.
Comprehensively.
Queremos que se nos respete.
We want you to respect us.
Como ciudadanos de este país.
Like citizens of this land.
Y como residentes de Norwalk.
And residents of Norwalk.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll turn it over now to our city manager for staff update, presentation, and information.
Thank you, Mayor Rios and members of the City Council. Tonight, we will have a staff presentation that addresses many of the concerns that the community has. It has been a project that has been vetted through the community. We've had a very intensive community outreach for several years, presented to different stakeholders in the community. And we appreciate the comments and the concerns of the community. With that, Mr. Alex Hamilton will present the responses to those that were received prior to the meeting, and many of them that were stated tonight as well. Alex?
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Mayor and City Council, I have a few slides to go over, which will, in essence, summarize what we've heard from the last meeting to this date tonight. Members of the consulting team will also go over some of the aspects of the presentation. We have Gina Gassar, she's with CSG, and we have Martin Leitner from Perkins & Will, and he's with the architectural firm. I want to point out that with both Gina and Martin, they've been the consistent thread, staff-wise, working on this project for the last number of years on it. And they have a lot of historical knowledge about all the outreach that was done, all the communications that were done, and community outreach, feedback that was gathered, and all of that was incorporated into a project, the project that is before you tonight. And we'll highlight some aspects of that project as well. So, as you recall, on the 15th of October, this was originally scheduled for consideration, but the item was continued from October 15th due to some technical difficulties that we had with our website. So, in out of an abundance of caution and to make sure that all the comments that were given fair analysis and review, we recommended this item be continued to the November 6th meeting. And again, that was as it relates to making sure we captured all the comments and responded appropriately to them. The meeting was adjourned to tonight, so the public hearing was kept open to review and respond to comments that, again, keep coming in up until today. I believe today we had some additional comment letters which we'll be prepared to address. So at the meeting of the 15th, there were a total of 26 speakers. There were 5 in support, 21 opposed. There were 27 emails in opposition. Topics raised included parking, building height, affordable housing, the adequacy of the EIR, and no commitment to local hire. Many of those you've heard again tonight as well. On November 6th, we had 47 opposition emails received prior to the hearing. Again, similar topics were raised at that meeting, so the common thread is we're hearing the same topics and concerns, and we're prepared to address those tonight. So as it relates to off-street parking, I will now turn it over to Martin, who will walk you through each of the topics and how this plan is addressing those concerns.
Thank you, Alex. Madam Mayor, honorable council members, it's good to be here tonight. The topic of on-site parking has been something we've been looking at for a long time. As I was preparing for tonight, I actually recalled that when we were developing the strategy for this site about 2 years ago on parking, there was an intense citywide conversation about parking and spillover parking that very much informed our thinking on how to look at this site that is in some ways quite different from the city, from the remainder of the city, but in other ways obviously wants to avoid those same spillover effects. So the specific plan includes a set of parking standards. Those are minimum parking standards, right? So at any time, more parking can be provided if that is felt that is needed. But at the same time, thank you. We think that the provided parking is adequate. And the site plan shows, the conceptual site plan shows actually multiple types of different parking. We see in particular for the multifamily structured parking, garages, surface parking. There's on-street parking in particular around the businesses. And there also is provision for in-unit garage parking for buildings like townhomes and the like. That's very similar to the manor to the north. So if we look at this, there's really a mobility strategy that goes beyond parking. We're looking at bike lanes on all of the major streets. This is really important because obviously one of the key aspects of this project is providing more convenient and more ready access to Zimmerman Park. Being able to walk there, being able to bike there are really key features that will allow people to have choices on how they move about. But also looking at the parking requirements. If you look through all of those, there are some differences. The market rate units have on aggregate two stalls per unit if you include the guest parking. They're less assumed for senior housing and affordable. We also know that parking is expensive to provide. So balancing affordability and the cost of parking is another consideration that's in this plan. Moving on to the next topic of building height. From the first day I looked at this site, I considered building height. We know that there are existing communities that will not change to both the north, the south, and the west. So that was really, really important. There is a maximum height that is correct of 65 feet and 5 stories, but that's only at the center of the site, and that's intentional. Because it was key that the planning areas that get closer to where the townhomes of the Norwalk Manor are to the north and the single-family homes to the south, that those heights can't be that tall. That was really important from day one. So if you look at the height map, you will see that to the north, to the manor, it's limited to 35 feet and 3 stories, which is very similar to the townhomes that exist to the north today. And that is intentional. Now, today we'd probably build them a little differently. Building codes have changed. Things have changed. They'd be a bit more modern, of course, being a newer project, but that's the idea. To the south, there is also a limit in height that takes into effect 65 feet from each of the building's property lines. That's actually in addition to the distance of the street and the park there. And they're also 3 stories and 45 feet is the maximum. So you see some images here that describe that. Also, if anyone chooses to actually do the 5th story, there are additional requirements to help mitigate the impact of that height by stepping the facade back. Since we know how important the southern edge is, in addition to the northern edge, we know that obviously there's the community hospital up at Bloomfield, but there are also single-family homes to the bottom there. We wanted to show this because there's actually a strategy of removing the new development from those with distance to use the circulation, the multimodal circulation that we all want as part of that buffer, and then to intentionally have a linear green space there that was referenced before by some speakers to create additional depth. If you look at this, there's a red arrow, if you can see it. We did some view studies just to illustrate what this plan would look like if implemented. Here's the more technical drawing that shows elements such as the property line, a wall, and the green there. But to make that a bit more visual to show how this works, you see on the left the buildings that step down to 3 stories. So as you get closer to those single-family homes, we're not talking about 5 stories at all. We're talking about much lower height. And then as we kind of walk through the elements, you see there's the street with bike lanes that gets you to Zimmerman Park. You see sidewalks that invite people to walk, crosswalks. And then as you get really close to the single-family homes, there's a linear green park that has a walking trail. And then there's also an intentional idea about using landscape to make sure that as you get closer to the wall, low shrubs and things like that are green, are nice to look at, but also keep people further away from there. We did one more, a little more technical drawing showing here some of the distances at the closest. The buildings are 97 feet from the property line. And the view angle is around 24 or so degrees from horizon. So a lot of consideration was brought into to the height. We also did look surrounding, and I think it is important to point out that this using distance to mitigate height changes is something that happens in other parts of Norwalk as well, not far away on Imperial Highway. We have that, and then of course, we have this map that we created very early on to point out the existing heights around this development and how we would respond to that. We always looked at this map to guide our decisions around that.
Good evening, Mayor and honorable council members. I'll take over from here to address the remaining comments. Of course, affordable housing came up quite a bit, and we wanted to provide some perspective on what affordable housing really means. So for this project, the affordable component was dictated by the State Surplus Land Act, and that requires the 40%. And of that 40%, half and half, 50% should be affordable to very low, which is 30 to 50% of AMI, which I'll go into, and the other half has to be affordable to 75% of the maximum of lower income. So what is AMI? That's set by, of course, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and implemented by the State Housing and Community Development, or HCD, we've all been dealing with them a lot lately. So they dictate that by county. We're in LA County. So what does AMI mean? Area median income. Right now, for a family of 4, that equates to $98,200. So for very low income, that would equate to almost $70,000. So what kind of jobs does that represent? Secretaries, truck drivers, medical assistants, paralegals. These are the kinds of folks that have very low income jobs. When we look at the 75% of the lower income, that equates to almost $89,000. What kind of people have those types of jobs? Some teachers and workers in manufacturing and construction trades. So this is what we're talking about when we say affordable housing. And hopefully this sheds some light on the types of individuals that would live in the affordable component of the project. And moving on to the EIR, we have received several comments. And for every comment received specifically for the technical EIR questions, the city's consultant, Michael Baker International, has provided detailed response comments. So this is an above and beyond the final environmental impact report that had the responses to comments. There were other technical memos. Most recently in the staff report, they were attached. We also have a brief written response from MBI related to items raised in comments reconfirming the effectiveness and adequacy of the greenhouse gas mitigation measures. And I will read that into the record because it came in late, if you don't mind. Comments submitted today raise concerns regarding the effectiveness and adequacy of the GHG, that's greenhouse gas, mitigation measures, because the EIR did not quantify GHG emission reductions from the GHG mitigation measures. As explained in responses to prior comments, complying with Cal Green voluntary measures would reduce energy consumption and associated GHG emissions and would provide more reduction in energy and therefore GHG emissions than if not required. There is no question that such measures reduce GHG emissions and are effective. As explained in the responses to prior comments, at this preliminary stage of project design, it would be speculative to quantify specific reduction amounts, and the city properly and conservatively did not do so. Such quantification is not required by CEQA. CEQA requires agencies to adopt feasible mitigation measures to substantially lessen or avoid otherwise significant adverse environmental impacts. The city's conclusion that such measures will be effective is supported by substantial evidence, including the fact that such measures are promulgated by state agencies with expertise in such matters. As such, recirculation of the EIR is not required. In addition, Mike Baker can verify that the health risk assessment conducted for the project dated September 2024 calculated the proposed construction equipment emissions that would result from proper implementation. In addition, the city prepared a statement of overriding considerations describing why the benefits of implementing the project outweigh the proposed project's significant and unavoidable impacts. The project has one significant and unavoidable impact related to GHG, and many urban infill projects such as this cannot meet that threshold. It's very common that a project such as this fails. The South Coast Air Quality Management District has no current established GHG thresholds, and they rely on interim measures to this day. The city has balanced the benefits of this project against the associated significant and unavoidable impacts and has adopted all feasible mitigation measures with respect to GHG. And the project, again, will transform this blighted youth correctional facility into an active and vibrant mixed-use eco-district with housing choices and affordable options for current and future residents of Norwalk. And finally, the comment regarding the no documented commitment to local hire. The city, as the project applicant and proponent, will not build the project and is not in a position to directly negotiate with labor unions. However, the city's development partner has met with the various local trades and their representatives who have recently commented on the project and will continue to have a dialogue with these representatives. And finally, we should note that prevailing wage will be required for the vertical construction of the affordable units, as well as improvements on Bloomfield and other improvements. We wanted to also show the project site as it stands. We can see that it's blighted and pretty sparse. We all know that. And here is the site proposed as after construction. Therefore, staff recommends that the City Council adopt resolution number 24-58. Now, was there a, forgive me, do we read the entire resolution, or was just the?
The title's not necessary.
Okay, thank you.
Only of the ordinance.
Okay. Adopt resolution number 24-56. Adopt resolution number 24-57 and introduced by title only ordinance number 24-1754. That concludes staff's presentation, and we are available for questions.
Mr. Gomez, that completes the presentation in
Yes,
its
that's
entirety?
Yes, Madam Mayor. There's one final, just kind of item, just to be clear. All the correspondences that I've received have been presented to the City Council. They will be part of the administrative record, including the correspondence received today by Ms. Mitchell, TSAI, if I'm not mistaken. Also, the memorandum that has been prepared by Michael Baker International addressing those concerns. So all of those correspondence from today and even previously are all now part of the record for council. Then they have been presented to the council and they're part of your record for consideration. That's all I have.
Okay, so at this time, I'll return it back to the council for comments or questions. I'm sorry. The public hearing is now closed. Returning it back to council for comments or questions.
I'll start with just a few comments. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to the entire team for the presentation and for the residents and everybody that's come out over the course of 3 meetings now. So I appreciate that. This is a project that started about five years ago. And I first off want to thank Jesus and at the time our various team and the planning department for the forethought of partnering with Assemblymember Calderon for a bill that would protect the city and what the city's overall goals were for this particular site. I have in this seat worked with many senators. A lot of them are not in Southern California, and a lot of them do not know what our cities look like how they operate and what their abilities are for future growth. But because of that, they have instituted several housing requirements that are then put on to local jurisdictions, of which we as a council many times fight for what we call local control. AB 518 was a bill in partnership with Assemblymember Calderon that assisted the city in having a say and the first right of refusal in partnership with the purchase and the development of this particular piece of land. If it was not for that bill, I'm assuming, I'm not guaranteeing, I'm not putting out there a number, but if I had to throw a dart to a dartboard to say that the state of California and some of those senators would maximize every inch of that property with nothing but low and extremely low housing in our city without our say. And with this bill and the partnership and the work that we have done with this project and the city and our partners, we have been able to contain the project to what we feel will be a portion of the additional development and the housing numbers that we will be bringing to the city of Norwalk per regulation by arena numbers. Again, a mandate from the state of California. As mentioned, I do live in that area. And from the very start of this project, from day one, sitting on our Economic Development Ad Hoc Committee, I've looked at this project gazillion times and how best would it work within that neighboring community. I know what it is. I drive it every day. I drove Bloomfield every day for 8 years, sometimes 6 times a day, back and forth to St. Paul High School. I know what it's gonna do. But I am confident to say that what we have done and what we have worked towards is better than what would have been if the state was in charge of the property. Mind you, that is state-owned property. So the city has nothing up until this date with this AB 518 has nothing to say about it. So we talk about purposely using the buildings that are already there. They are not habitable. You cannot go in them. During the pandemic, the state invested almost $7.5 to $8 million for a short amount of time just to have them livable with no housing amenities. That property, the state owns it. There's nothing that we can do. But with this assembly bill, with what we are doing here, the time and energy that this council really has put forth, I do believe that we are bringing a project that is going to be great for our overall community. I spent a lot of time on this. I really did. And I would not say that if I did not feel confident that this is the best project for what we have. There's a lot of time and energy went into this. We can talk about the hotel. We can talk about the added infrastructure needs. We've done this. We've gone through this. We've fought it with the state to say, how can you say that the city of Norwalk needs to build over 5,000 new addresses without impacting parking, without impacting streets? We talked about streets earlier today, our fire services, our police services. We have fought that here on this council multiple times. And the state says, guess what? I don't care. Build it anyway. Do our other neighboring cities have to hit that number? Not every single one of them, but a lot of them do. So I am confident that in knowing that we have to live with the project without one being forced upon us, meaning it could have been a lot worse, I know that this is going to be a good project for our city and for this particular area. I live there. I'm going to drive by it every day. So those are my comments.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Sure,
Rick?
I'll chime in. Well said, Councilmember Perez. The great key points that she touched upon. You know, I was elected just shortly after this project was brought to the city and was voted on and moved forward. But since day one, I followed it just as much as my rest of my colleagues that have been on that decision earlier on. My goal is to get the most public benefit out of that project as it exists today. It's challenging. I don't live in the area, but I drive that area and I followed it, and I've heard a lot of the concerns from our residents through emails, telephone calls, and had major discussions with them to get the most out of that project that we possibly can as the city of Norwalk moves forward. Like Councilmember Perez stated, it's state-owned property. You know, we had a battle with them when we had during COVID, where they started to send in the homeless population into that complex just for a short amount of time, and the amount of money that they spent. It's inhabitable. We all know that, right? Is it ideal? Is it the ideal project? You know, I'm willing to give it a chance. Nothing is perfect in this world. We are given a lot of challenges here as a governing body to do what's best for the benefit of everyone in Norwalk. And I think we've done our homework diligently to get the most public benefit out of this project. Is there still more work to be done? Of course. We talked about, is it truly a transit village? It's late. Transit village concept? Possibly. You know, according to the definition and how it's regulated or it's being developed, it meets that criteria. Could there be more work to get more public transportation use out of that area? Of course. And I proposed that to our staff to challenge the developers and the design team to look at options to make it truly a transportation village concept, right? So it's a work in progress, and I think they have done their due diligence in making sure that happens. There's still more work to be done. This is the beginning stages of this project. I couldn't imagine what else could go there that's going to be a public benefit to Norwalk besides what we've already been challenged to produce. So I'm optimistic that this is going to be a great project for our community. Is there going to be impact? Of course. Any projects that we do in the city, there's always an impact. The state of California has an impact with traffic and congestion. We're on a major thoroughfare, Imperial, Bloomfield, with the truck routes. There's a lot of challenges that we face, but these are the tough decisions that we were elected to handle, and I think we've done an amazing job so far. We're not perfect. We make good decisions, we make bad decisions, but overall, collectively, we make those decisions that benefit every resident in our community, and we take that in consideration. We value your input. We respect that you guys have spent hours with us tonight and previous meetings. You've dedicated your time, energy, your efforts. Your voices have been heard. Don't walk away tonight thinking that they haven't been heard. We've heard every voice from our labor unions, from our trade unions, from our residents that live in and around the area. It's challenging, but I think overall, I'm willing to give the project a chance. And those are my comments.
Anyone else? Anna?
Thank you. I too want to chime in and thank the speakers in opposition and those that were in favor, and of the past as well, because this has been an ongoing item. And as my colleagues have stated, it isn't something that we take lightly. It is, I for one read these things, and some things I'm not clear on, so I ask questions. But we do try our best, and I try my best to make the best decision for our residents, make this best decision for me and my family and my friends and colleagues, because we do care about our city. And this project is something that I'm hopeful that will bring some very positive things to Norwalk. Is it going to be perfect? As we've all stated, nothing is. But we will try and do as best as we can to monitor, to look at, to review, to make sure that livable wages are had, that the environmental aspect of the buildings, the everything that gets involved, that's going to be involved with this project, so that it is within the legal requirements, and then some, because we want to have a greener space. We want to have a greener, more sustainable area here in Norwalk. And yes, we do want to attract other people to come and live here, because actually there is a big demand already. The houses don't even, your husband's a real estate person, the houses don't even last a month, and then they're already sold. So there is a big demand. It's a good place to live. It's a nice city, and we want to keep it that way. And we want to do our best in getting projects done, built, and in favor of our residents. And I think that, and I'm hopeful that this will be one of those projects that we're going to be able to do some really good things. So I hope that our residents trust us with this. And I'm sure that, not everybody's going to be happy with our decisions, but I can tell you that these decisions are not taken lightly. We read, we study, we research, and we ask other cities on their projects that are similar to get an overview, to get some ideas, and to ask questions as well. What didn't work? And so we're very vigilant about that. All right, those are my comments. Thank you.
I want to be a dead horse here, because I agree with, what my colleagues have said so far. And I'll be honest with you, after the last round of testimony we had, I was very concerned about some of the points of this project. And I thought it was incumbent upon, the staff and our consultants and stuff to respond to some of these things, because there's particular buzzwords in there that get my attention right away, especially parking and things like that. So I think that given what, the questions were, I know I received a lot of emails and phone calls and so on and so forth, and forwarded those to our staff and got responses back. And again, I'm not going to paraphrase what all my council members have already said, but I feel comfortable that I got enough information to allay my fears of what I heard with the first round of testimony. And I know these projects can get, any kind of construction project or anything else can get, messy. And it's like the old saying, you can't make an omelet without cracking some eggs. And so I feel comfortable enough with what the staff has responded with. I feel comfortable enough to move forward, but, it's like my colleagues have said so far, it's kind of a trust and verify type thing. We need to make sure that they're doing exactly what they say they're going to do. And if we get to a point where something's not working or it's impacting the community in a way that we couldn't have anticipated, then we have to deal with it. But we can't continue it and continue it and continue it and get no action on this, because I'm telling you folks, Jennifer is absolutely right. State of California is going to take this property. If we don't move on this, state of California is going to take this property, and we are literally going to have no input with what they do with it. And the only thing that we do know is that it will be housing, it will be extremely dense, and it will be low income. Because if you're watching the news at all and listening to what the governor is saying and what everybody's saying, is they just want to build housing. They don't care about the parking. They don't care about the density. their theory is that you can fix homelessness through housing. So they just want housing everywhere, no matter how dense. And I'm telling you that is as crazy as this project may seem to some people, actually what would happen if the state of California got hold of this property would be 100 times worse. So just keep that in mind, and you got to realize that we'll always be listening as this project evolves. It doesn't mean that if we pass this tonight that we won and you lost and it's some kind of binary thing, because we're going to have to stick together to get through this to make it work. So just don't feel like you walked away and lost something if it doesn't pass, because we're going to be here. We're not going anywhere, and we'll work with you through the rough spots. And so those are my comments.
I also wanted to just briefly add, I know that for many years the community was concerned because the area was blighted. It was empty for so many years. We all know it's a state property, so to a certain extent, as was already mentioned, our hands were tied. But I think that in collaboration with the staff and just having a vision, and we all talk about what do we want Norwalk to look like? Well, there is the future, and the future is a little bit different. I know bedroom community was mentioned, and I love the idea. I love that I've lived in the city for many years, and that was what we fondly remember. And I still actually like to think that it is a bedroom type community just because of the family oriented community that it is. But the future does look a little bit different, and so when we looked at this project, does it check off all the boxes? I don't know. I think it checks off most, and we're paying attention as a council, to what the staff is presenting, to what the developer is presenting. I know that we pick up on keywords, eco-friendly, that's an eco development. That's something that is important, and it does address a future need. And I appreciate the explanation of, what is it AMI? What's the abbreviator for the medium? And I think that that's important because there are those individuals, those could be a single, family household. It could be, a couple, but there are jobs that, pay a fair wage, which is what we advocate for every single time, obviously. But it also, I think it sheds some light. It clears a lot of, or at least gives us an idea of what potentially those families that would occupy that space, would look like. And to me, I envision hardworking families, families that are raising children, young families that are looking for entertainment, a place to lay down their roots, which is something that we always talk about, is we want to draw, from those individuals, those families that want to lay down roots. And we think about that when we plan for the future, because unless we can have that foresight of what does the future look like in the city of Norwalk, we have to think ahead. And we have a lot of beautiful history that never goes away in the city of Norwalk. I mean, it never goes away, but we're building upon that. And as I mentioned, this project checks off most of the boxes. Now, once a decision is made by council, do we walk away? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think I can speak for my colleagues, as we're very diligent when it comes to asking those questions from staff and making sure that the developer is fulfilling their part. The staff is being held accountable to make sure that all these questions, all these concerns, that we address them and we mitigate them, that we find what are the mitigating factors to make sure that we can transition into the beginning of a successful ultimate project. That's what we all look for. So, and that's what we'll do. We'll continue to ensure that everyone is doing their part. The last time that we continued to this meeting, we continued the public hearing. That's an example of the council taking action to say, well, there are some concerns, there are some questions. The developer would like to chime in more to help ease and answer, what those are so that we have complete transparency. And that's why that's why we're here today instead of at the last meeting where we could have, but we wanted to make sure as a council and the staff wanted to make sure that we were very, very diligent in ensuring that we had all the information that we needed to be at this moment now. And we're going to continue to make decisions as we move forward on this particular project. And I hope that you believe when I say that the council will certainly hold the developer and staff to task when it comes to the future of the city of Norwalk. So with that, I appreciate all the dialogue and comments from the council. I'll go ahead and move this item.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Council members Perez.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Valencia.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Ayala.
Aye.
Mayor Rios.
Aye. Now we have time for oral communications. Do we have any speaker cards, City Clerk? I have one speaker card here before me, Brian Tyndall.
Good evening, council and staff. I'll try and be brief. I know it's been a long night for everybody. Thinking globally and acting locally is a term that is used to describe environmental and sustainable thought. I cut all that out for brevity. Climate change is real. It is caused by human action. You and I cannot stop oil companies from drilling. We cannot stop coal plants from restarting. But here in Norwalk, we can better our community. We can create more shade, improve air quality, and restore native habitats. By cutting new tree wells and removing non-useful concrete from medians, we can promote new native habitat and improve water drainage on city streets. This week, I am asking as you drive around to look at the medians in the city, notice the concrete that is not getting used and blocks the water from reaching the soil. Notice the narrow space that some trees live in and the sidewalks that could be wide enough to allow for a new tree well. Thinking globally is going to get very depressing the next few years. You have the ability to act locally, improve the quality of life in Norwalk and the planet. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Brian. Before I adjourn, Teresa, can you read off the names of those that will be adjourning this meeting for?
Yep, let me find those, sorry. I know that we have Gilbert Ramirez, we have Janet Rock, and I think you referred to a gentleman named Pete. Those are the three that council asked that the meeting be adjourned in memory of.
Okay, thank you very much. With that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Have a nice evening and be safe. Stay healthy.